Yo ho, a podcast life for me.
And with that amazing song, we welcome everyone to the Aquatic month at Cinema Fourcast. I'm Alfredo,
I'm Connor.
and you are listening to Cinema Fourcast, the movie podcast where every month we are assigned a category randomly by the legally distinct movie roulette. And we watch 4 movies which we feel fit that category. And we talk about them each week in the context of said category. Aquatic movies is the category. And Connor, what is the film we have watched today?
For this episode, Alfredo, we've watched Pirates of the Caribbean.
The Curse of the Black Pearl.
Right, it's funny. I always forget that there's that little subtitle on it.
It's interesting how they started it with that immediately, almost sort of hinting at the fact that it was going to
be a franchise.
Yeah, a huge franchise. Also, interestingly enough, first movie we've watched based on a ride, right?
yeah, it must be. How many? Yeah, I guess there has been a couple of those now, though, with the Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy and all that.
This is the one that kicked it all off?
Absolutely, and it's funny you say that they were planning on a franchise, because I, like usual, I didn't do too much research into it, but I do believe I heard that they were not expecting this to do very well for some reason.
It's wild to do a period piece and put so much fucking money into something that you think is not going to do that well, but
yeah, that's Hollywood, baby.
The ways of the executives are mysterious, I guess. Yeah, fuck, dude. This movie, big sort of like footprint on me in my in my middle school days, because we did play the theme so much.
Oh, in band?
In band, yeah. We played it several times.
Oh, that sounds so fun.
I think that's like my biggest association with it is the yeah, I also remember being, I think I was like roughly 12 when this came out. I think I saw this one in theaters actually, because it felt like a big fun event, and I've always been like super into pirates. Like pirates have always been like a thing where I'm like, oh, that's sick. Even to this day, I think I love pirates. I think the reason I wear 2 gold hoops on my ears is because of pirates, and because I want people to be able to pay for my funeral, you know, or to see me floating in the water if I'm drowning, you know?
I love that. Well, yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because we were discussing this a little bit before we started rolling. That it's kind of interesting how big of a touch mark, like milestone thing pirates are in our culture, and like how often we do talk about pirates or how many pirate related things there are, and yet how few actual like big pirate properties there are.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was just thinking we need to immediately add to the sheet of categories pirate movies.
Well, we were looking it up a bit, and it's kind of slim pickings, I hate to say, but that being said, there was a bunch that I had like never heard of from like the 70s and 80s, so.
Yeah, I also think like in aquatic movies, you can't really throw in like stuff like Castle in the Sky or Treasure Planet, right? Like,
right.
Where you do have this presence, this piracy presence. And then you can make an argument about, because we saw Castle in the Sky on the list, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense to me. But there's also an argument to be made that like it doesn't really, is it really a pirate movie? Is it not? But
right, yeah. It's just strange we don't have more representation of this like super beloved concept.
Yar.
Yar har ho ho har. That's me being a pirate. Yeah, so today we put together another list of themes for the aquatic month. And it's really funny. We didn't plan having desert and aquatic movies back to back. We were kind of talking about how funny it would be if that did happen, since they like contrast each other so perfectly. And yeah, when I was writing out my list of kind of themes, and the way I went about it was just picking out things that water and the ocean evokes within me. What does it make me feel? What do I think about? What would I be looking for in a story that's focused around being on the water or in the water? And it's funny because it actually ended up being very similar to my desert themes list, and I think that's just a big part of that is the examination of humans against this backdrop of a very like samey environment, where in like the desert, the ocean is very inhospitable to human life, so you're kind of out of place thrown into both of these. But yeah, real quick, I wrote down 8 themes. Freedom, number 1, sanctity of land as opposed to sanctity of water. Isolation, number 3, man versus nature, number 4, back at it again with Lovecraftian horror at number 5, number 6, the unknown, number 7, insanity, and number 8, beauty of nature.
Hell yeah. Great fucking list right there. I definitely let this time like my watch sort of I already had it in my mind that these two categories were very similar. Like when I see dunes, I see rolling waves of
Right,
water
yeah.
in a way. So I knew that it was going to be a lot of that same sort of like isolation that we were talking about. I thought what was interesting in this aspect is isolation in a barren landscape versus isolation in an abundant place, right? Because
Yeah.
I think like I always think about that too. Like even in the depths of the ocean, there's some inhospitable places, but even like archaebacteria, or like chemotrophs
Yeah.
that live in like the like hot air vents, like life in the ocean like always finds a way. And then the whole interplay between our need of it, ocean water being salt water, and actually kind of not being able to satiate that need in a way. Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink.
Right. Yeah.
And I was I did like ultimately I got that sort of into the unknown, like hand in hand with freedom was like the big
Yeah.
theme that I got from this that stood out hugely from like the desert themes.
Yeah.
The sort of like, and not just that, but like the whole navigational aspect of like water movies has that like really inspires this sense of adventure into like diving into like crossing
Right.
thresholds of places that haven't been explored.
Right. And
And
like how many songs and poems are about like my girl back home across the sea and all that, like there's something about beyond the sea where you're just
yeah,
constantly dreaming, where your heart is, I guess.
for sure. Actually, that was one of the things that I had noted while thinking about the ocean in itself is longing.
Right.
Something
That's a
about
good point. Yeah.
something about that is just
Longing.
very
I like that.
very salient for me.
I like that so much. I'm actually gonna write that down. It's number 9.
Boom.
Longing.
I also thought when we're thinking about like cinematography things again, gonna want very wide shots to show a sense of scale, because I think that's another thing that we get from like desert movies as well. And in this sense, dude, like a whole nother scale, because the ocean is so massive. But along with that, with sound design, I was thinking those repetitive like sort of resonations that we got in desert movies,
Mm.
like waves, right? The lapping of waves.
Wow.
That was a big one that I also kind of was trying to keep in the front
Yeah.
of my mind as I watched it.
I like that. No, it's funny that you said freedom and the unknown are the two that stand out to you, because besides the longing that I just added, those are literally the only two on my list that are not on the desert list, besides sanctity of land instead of sanctity of water.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and I think you even like, wow, you extrapolate that to like sanctity of scarce of whatever is scarce,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. So what's your relationship with this movie, Alfredo? When did you first see it? Do you remember?
As I was saying before, I think I did see it in the movie theaters, but like my big relationship with it has just been that sort of like musical component. Like I said, I was always a big fan of Pirates. This movie, I remember watching it, having a good time at the theaters, remembering parts of it, and then like actually, funny enough, like watching it again and being like, oh, there are these different things that I didn't realize that like are like memes to me because they're from this movie. But yeah, mostly like just as a band kid. I think even in high school we played more fucking Pirates of the Caribbean. That shit just fucking killed at the fucking concerts,
Oh yeah, I mean it gets me hyped. I like Star Wars. I wonder what this movie is out without that Hans Zimmer score, especially just that main theme. It's so good. It got me so hyped every time it came on. It adds to the feeling of adventure and, the pirate vibes and everything the movie is going for so well. This sense of whimsy and wonder and adventure.
Yeah, dude, pretty wild. Hans Zimmer. Is that what you said? Is that who directed? Who did it?
Yeah, the composer. Yeah.
Word.
Yeah. Second movie back to back. He did Dune as well. Here, back at it again, killing it with some Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pretty sick. Pretty sick.
Yes, absolutely. So my relationship is similar with it. I watched it in theaters as a kid. I loved it. I definitely had it on, I think this is the DVD era. Watched it pretty frequently. One of those ones that kind of fell to the back of my mind for a long time, and then I think I was in college and someone put it on, and I was like, oh yeah, this movie rocks. And I'm excited to talk about it. Should we get into it?
Yeah. Let's fucking. I was just looking up really quick. Do you know that actually Ramin Djawadi worked on like this score as well?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Super wild.
Huh.
Just a fun fact I had to throw in there because I
Yeah.
know you're such a big GOT head.
Yeah, I mean he's kind of a juggernaut in TV. He also did Westworld and something else recently that is really good that I'm spacing on. But yeah, very talented composer. Yeah, cool opening shot.
Yo ho, baby.
The ship coming out of the sea, out of the fog, really sets up the. I was really, the first category that was Hero's Journey, and that was definitely popping up in my mind a lot. There's a lot of like, kind of brushing up against the threshold that you cross in the hero's journey as you go on your adventure. And here, it's kind of setting up this threshold of like the spooky ship coming out of the fog, and a little girl singing a pirate song.
Good fog play in this film.
Yeah.
Great fog play. It is cool because it does underscore the whole idea of the unknown, right? And I kind of like it right after Dune too, because like playing a similar function as like a sandstorm in a way, like obscuring what is seen.
Yeah.
Definitely
yeah.
like a lot more chill than a sandstorm.
Yeah, it's more chill and yet creepier, I would say. Like a sandstorm doesn't make me feel
The solitude, the silence
out.
of the fog is
Yeah.
very off-putting for sure. I think it's so the way that Mr. Gibbs immediately is presented. What a wild dude. He's just like obviously very superstitious, but then him saying the thing which he repeats later on in the movie
about
about
the bringing women on board.
Yeah, even a miniature one. I'm just like, dude, like what the fuck, man?
Yeah, that
And-
was a real thing though, I think, right? Like thinking women are bad luck to bring on your ship.
Yeah, I mean, there's also lots of historical accounts about like famous female pirates as well. So
For sure.
yeah, but very interesting. I do kind of like that it is stated, but then like she kind of like pulls her weight throughout the film, which
Yeah. Well, that's
know,
really kind of what her arc is about, is the kind of pre-established constrictions of her society on what her place should be, and
yeah, she wants to be hands-on. She wants to be like on the poop deck scrubbing, telling people to man the whatevers and unfurl the, all the sailor talk.
Hell yeah. And I guess I'll say right now, unlike the other movies we've watched that have sequels, I have seen the first two sequels, like that was part of the original trilogy. I have seen those, but only once and a long time ago. And I think the third one in the trilogy, I was like at a party or something, so I only saw like, bits and pieces of it. That being said, just I don't have as good of a grasp on the full lore of Pirates of the Caribbean, and like, if there's things that we talk about that tie into something else that happens in the movie later, I probably don't remember.
Yeah, word, for sure. That made me just think, I just wanted to know very quickly, this is probably not the best time for it, but it was brought to my attention during the last week that in Dune, the book, Chani goes with Paul through, and I wish we could have like talked about that in the moment. And I just want to say here, folks, for our loyal listeners, fumbled the bag. But anyway, let us continue to talk about this movie.
Yeah, it is interesting. Just again, real quick on that. Just how much of that discussion I was talking about talking about how Chani is kind of like the heart of the story and like kind of the viewpoint of the main character, and that's not even from the source material. So that's like a interesting touch in the script.
Yeah, I mean, I even said out loud, like, what are they doing in the movie that isn't in the book that makes this like a comment, like that furthers the commentary, and they fucking really truly did it.
Yeah, absolutely. We get some pirate talk, a lot of foreshadowing here. They're talking about how they're scared of pirates. Pirates are scary. Elizabeth, even as a young girl, is clearly fascinated with them. Her father doesn't want her to hear more about it, not because he thinks it's scaring her, but because she likes it so much, and that freaks him out.
Yeah, for sure. I also like that the first sort of symbol we get of piracy is an umbrella turned upside down floating on the water, which is this reversal of societal norms, right?
Oh,
because that's
nice.
kind of like what they're about.
Yeah,
I just thought of that just now.
That's pretty good. They find Will floating adrift.
Yeah, she steals his fucking necklace. But we can see that the intention is. I feel like the first time I watched it, I was like, "Why is she taking his things?" But this time I watched it, I was like, "Oh, she's taking it because she's scared that he's like they're gonna like string him up."
Yeah, she's trying to protect him.
Yeah,
but partially just because she likes pirates.
Yeah. It is definitely both for sure. Like she likes the medallion because she's into the whole pirate life is for her, and also she wants to protect this little boy, I guess.
Yeah, and I love that, like you said, the umbrella, but soon after that, and after they find Will, you see the full destruction of the pirates. I think that's a really good way to set up the danger.
It's the little breadcrumb to like the fucking fully destroyed loaf of bread.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I have nothing to improve that statement with, so we'll just move on.
The match cut from young Elizabeth blinking to like Elizabeth now waking up.
I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, nice little artsy editing there. Love it.
Oh yeah, and we do see Elizabeth does see a glimpse of the Black Pearl sailing away.
Yeah, for sure.
So it like
with the ragged sails.
Yeah, and in terms of the unknown, right? Like creepy, weird, spooky.
A brush with something so terrifying. That's pretty wild though. Like they took out it like because we never really like it's never said out loud, but the Black Pearl attacked whatever ship was transferring him so that they could like get the last coin. And then, like,
I never put that together. I never really thought about it much. Yeah.
Also, the way that he's presented on the board is just kind of silly. It's like the kid is like laying perfectly still with his hands at his side.
Yeah.
Just like floating.
That's a good point.
Yeah. It just looks so silly. But
I will say there is a lot of, I really enjoyed this movie, but there is a lot of like little things like that throughout it that are kind of silly, a little dumb sometimes. I would say there's like a plot hole here or there, but like overall, just a great fun ride.
Yeah, for sure. I also immediately, when we get this match cut, I'm thinking, does this mark the Keira Knightley ascendancy of the early 2000s?
Yes, probably.
It like felt like she was in so much stuff, right? Like she does do Pride and Prejudice in 2005.
Okay.
Yeah, right after this. And then I guess there's like Atonement, 2007. Yeah. It really felt like a period of time where you would see her in like all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I remember her in this movie very well because I was about 10 when this came out and then, got it when I was like 11 on DVD or whatever. And this is right around the time I'm like starting to catch feelings for girls and oh my gosh, Keira Knightley in this movie, holy crap, is she gorgeous. So that has forever like left its impression on me of just like, oh yeah, Keira Knightley made me a man.
Wow. She always makes me think of this movie Domino that I saw with her when I was younger where she plays like a bounty hunter.
Oh,
Such
cool.
a fucking like weird movie that I want to like rewatch because I feel like at the time I watched it I wasn't like I didn't have the film goggles to put on and be like, ooh, what's going on here?
Interesting. I like the idea of Keira Knightley as a bounty hunter though. That sounds cool. When they're in her room and they open up the window and all the light comes in, I had only written 7 things on my themes list, but just like the shot of the ocean and how gorgeous it looked out there, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to throw beauty of nature in here because, wow.
Yeah, for sure. I also like how it is very quick, like, we're in the Caribbean. This is like a tropical environment, lush. It is a really beautiful scene, too. We're getting like, like that nice, a lot of green in this movie, for sure. We got the blue of the ocean, but ocean is like green-blue gradient in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that shot of it like
Yeah,
bursting open.
yeah, it's really nice. And she's putting on her corset, and I think this is like, it's been set up a little bit with her interest in pirates, but this is really where you get the thesis of her character arc. And she says, like, or something like, her father's basically saying that like all the women in London wear these corsets, and she says women in London must have learned not to breathe. And that's how she kind of feels about society's standards around her.
Right, she's being boxed in. She doesn't have any freedom to move in any way, to like try these other roles. Like it's just a very narrow path that she's expected to walk, almost like a plank.
Oh,
Wow, dude.
the plank of life, the plank of sexism. Will delivers the sword.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, dude, speaking of being in everything, dude, Orlando Bloom,
Yeah.
dude. Wow.
Yeah, so Lord of the Rings had already come out before this, and he was already big in the '90s, I believe, or no? I can't really remember when.
No.
Did he blow up from Lord of the Rings?
His ascendancy was in the early 2000s. I think he was definitely in stuff in the late 90s, but like really had like a like big takeoff like in those early 2000s, around that same sort of like Keira Knightley ascendancy.
Yeah, and on Will's character, I do think this movie is very interesting in that usually there's kind of a more straight, like obvious protagonist of the film, and I'm a little torn here. Is it Will or is it Jack Sparrow who are the main protagonists?
It's a two-hander. It's almost really like a three-hander.
Yeah, with
honestly.
Elizabeth. Yeah, because I see, like, I would say Will has the clearest hero's journey, which would usually make him the protagonist. But it really does feel like so much of this story is like hinging on Jack Sparrow and the character of Jack Sparrow.
I mean, the argument is Jack Sparrow is like a mentor character to Will as the like hero, like because he does feel like the central hero because it is his blood that like lifts the curse.
Right, but
end.
there's like huge sections like on the island where he's not even in the movie and stuff. So it's like, yeah, it's just kind of an interesting structure character wise and.
For sure, like I
arc-wise.
said, there's that read of it, but I really think of it as like a three-hander.
Yeah, I think that's.
And I
that's
think
right.
that having one character go through a hero's journey and it's like a three-hander, and other characters having arcs that are like not as like fucking archetypical like hero's journey, like there seem to be arcs that happen for the three main characters. Jax is, I think, occulted in a way, but I think that's on purpose because it's hard. I think it's been set up, and you want to have mystique around him.
Yeah,
That's what makes him such a compelling character, and that's why he's the one that people fucking
latch onto so much,
and that
Yeah.
people cosplay as, right? Like,
Yeah.
because he is the sort of like he is the like logo of the fucking it would be his face, just the very like iconic fucking red sash with the dreads and the beads.
I heard a little story about this actually. That originally I think producers or someone behind the film was not liking his performance of Jack and really wanted him to play it more straight. And he was basically like, "Hey, I'm gonna do it this way, or I'm gonna walk." And they're like, "All right, I guess you can do it this way." So it's like we only got this because Johnny Depp really wanted to make this character, and I think that's kind of what defined the whole franchise was that choice.
There was always that thing too. People said that he based this on Keith Richards.
Oh, I had heard that. I'd forgotten. Yeah, that's so great.
Yeah, I do kind of like that there is like the implication later on that he is just like, kind of like
insane.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's definitely crazy. And yeah, it's interesting. So would you say he has a character arc? Because I don't know if Jack Sparrow really does have a character arc.
No, I'm not like, I do say it because it is like, I think it's almost like the character arc is like the audience's arc with him. Like,
yeah, it's more
like
just getting
going
to know him.
From like not trusting him to trusting him. Or maybe I think there's a read perhaps that he grows to be a more sort of like, caring for Will. Like, and the question is like, was he really just willing to, was he ever really just willing to give up Will? And I think it's very generous to be like, nah, man, he was never gonna give up Will.
I think he was willing to give him up, and I'm not sure if he still wouldn't have given him up at the end of the movie.
That's the thing I'm saying about like the mystique of his character, right? Where it's like, did he have an arc or didn't he? And I think that they're both are present. It's like a Schrodinger's fucking Sparrow,
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Well, yeah, like I was saying, Will delivers the sword. They do some nice little exposition of his character here through his like appreciation and love of the craft of sword making. Like he's so passionate about this. He obviously really knows his stuff. He shows some skill with the sword. He like flips it over. He's showing the balance of it.
Practices 3 hours a day, buddy.
Yeah, that's a lot. A lot. He has a big gulp moment when he sees Elizabeth coming down the stairs, and in case you weren't sure whether or not he had feelings for her.
Yeah, for sure. It is really interesting how easy like movies make it seem to like know if somebody has a crush on someone. Like, oh yeah, they just have that look in their eyes while they stare at them.
And a literal big gulp in this in
Yeah.
this scenario.
Big gulp.
And
7-Eleven, what's up? Big gulp.
I do really love. There's a lot of really good dialogue in this movie, and I really like this part where he insists on calling her Miss Swan, and she says something like, "How many times do I have to tell you to call me Elizabeth?" And he says, "At least, one more, as always." I
Yeah,
like
pretty
that.
good, pretty clever. I do like that he even calls out Governor Swan. At least the lad has a sense of propriety. And again, this whole pioneer propriety thing I was talking about with desert movies, there is that aspect in this sort of like film that is an aquatic movie, but not just that. We're like out in the islands, right? That's
Yeah.
like sparsely sort of, well, not sparsely, but like they are like thrown across this ocean, and there's this sense of isolation and proper way of behaving, and because of the setting, like that's super huge.
And even among the pirates.
The code, yeah, the pirate code for sure. The pirate code was definitely making me think of pioneer propriety as well, dude.
Yeah, pretty flexible rules there with the pirates, though.
They're more like guidelines.
They're more like guidelines.
It's like podcasting.
And then we get this amazing intro of Jack Sparrow with the sinking boat. We get the famous Hans Zimmer
Iconic.
compositional track, the main theme of the movie. It's so good. I love this entrance. It's just like so perfectly timed where the boat just perfectly sinks right when he walks up to the dock. Like I love that intro so much, and it sets up his character so well, like the same way Will was just set up with his expertise with understanding like swordcraft and swordsmanship. Just the way that you see that Jack Sparrow's character is that he will always figure it out, but it's going to be a big mess, and it's going to be barely.
Yeah, he's a charlatan, and we see that from the beginning. Like I love the just like his whole interaction with the boat guy. Well, the guy at the dock, he's like, okay, so like it's gonna be 1 shilling,
All right.
and I'm gonna need your name. He says, how about 3? We forget the name. And you're like, damn, dude, that was smooth. And then he just takes the little like
The bag right
the pouch
after.
of money right after.
Yeah.
And as I like to, I'm just gonna shout out really quickly. The cinematography in this film, it doesn't stand out beyond like the standouts we've had, but it is well executed and beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
It is.
It looks good, and I would say like it's better than just average for sure.
Yeah,
Like it's
I would say above average, but
Yeah.
we just having watched 3 absolute like
stunners. Yeah.
yes, like grand slams of fucking like work. It definitely feels like, but it is Dariusz Wolski, who is a Polish cinematographer.
Represent.
Yeah, represent for sure.
I'm Polish.
Yeah, he is. He did The Martian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he
Nice.
also did Sweeney Todd, I guess.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if the Johnny Depp connection's there at all, or if that's just coincidence.
He also did a movie that I absolutely love, Dark City.
Oh,
Have you seen that
it.
movie?
I haven't seen Dark City.
Oh, it's so
I've
wild.
heard of it.
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta find a place to put that in on the pod. Oh my god, that would be a great episode. But
I'm very curious. I know very little about it, but it's one of those names that comes up.
But yeah, sorry, I just wanted to take a second, acknowledge the work. Like I said, good workman fucking cinematography here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beauty and efficiency.
Yeah, and not every movie needs to be like, something that's super avant-garde or like eye-catching or super stylish. Like sometimes it's just
No, they should.
sometimes
No, you're right.
like, just like especially for a fun roller coaster ride like this, like
Blue collar cinematography.
yeah, I guess, yeah. We get the imperial ceremony, the march, Elizabeth watching, too hot out. She's like,
Yeah, she's getting like
suffocating with
heat
her
stroke
corset.
and she's like suffocating.
Which is
God.
also very symbolic.
Yeah, being suffocated by like her life, like just slowly being taken away from her, like her freedom.
Yep. And on the docks, we get the first mention of the Black Pearl as Jack Sparrow tries to manipulate
Yeah,
the two soldiers. I didn't catch their names, but these guys are pretty funny throughout the movie, and
good
they
little comedic duo.
and they have a nice pairing. Like it's kind of the symmetry between these two goofy guys and the two goofy pirates.
Yeah, from the Black Pearl. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did enjoy that, and I even wrote in my notes at one point, I can't wait till these guys meet, and then there's a perfect scene where they come face to face.
Yeah.
But you just really get I've spoken to this a lot, but not really put like a label on it or anything. But like the sort of like showcase of skill at beginning of movies are always like cool. They're always like really fun.
Yeah.
Well, they're cool when they're done well, right? And you get
Right.
to see how in his sort of like I think he's eccentric is what I would say. I don't know if I'd go full on insane. I would
Yeah,
say
because he's always very rational. Like he never does anything that's extremely irrational, I would say.
he does have a little bit of that like fucking Ed Tom / like semi
From No
Anton
Country for
Sugar
Old
like
Men.
like
Existential
dialogue pattern where he's like talking about
well, this
things.
thing means this thing, but this
Yeah.
thing also means this
but
thing.
he's
so
really trying to do
yeah.
it to like throw people off
Yes.
and like he is really I would call him like a bard, right? Like he is
Uh.
like a fighty bard in like the
Yeah.
D&D sense because he's like always sly and like
he's very
kind of like a magician, like, you know, making you look one way.
a bit of a con man, perhaps.
Yeah, no, for sure, total grifter. And I
Yeah.
love how he gets them to argue about the existence of the Black Pearl, and it is over like something like a fun
Well, and
little character quirk. One is superstitious, the other one
Right.
is skeptical, right?
Right, and even before that, he's trying to manipulate their psychology by like bringing up that why weren't you guys invited to the Imperial March or whatever is going
Yeah.
on up there? So he's like he's very good at reading people, and he's very good at picking out things that will twist their mind in the way he wants it to be twisted. So yeah, he's very clever, he's very talented, and that's set up very efficiently. And I love that when he runs up on the boat and they chase after him, he admits his plan to steal the boat to them, and he's like, "Oh, but you wouldn't believe me if I told you that." And they're like, "Well, why would he admit it?" "Because I knew you wouldn't believe me if I admit it."
Yeah, all the mind games. He is like doing some like real life Jedi type shit.
For real. I like it. I like it a lot. It's
It is
fun.
good, like, and again, just a cool showcase of his skills. I do want to say, like, in the next scene, I think we have him sort of telling her, like, sort of implying, like, proposing to her.
Oh,
but
the Commodore.
Yeah, now that he is the Commodore Norrington,
Yeah.
I think
I
it's
like this
weird
character a
how-
lot.
Yeah, he is an interesting character. It is weird how we saw him 8 years ago. We find out later, like,
Yeah.
and she is a child.
Yeah, it is weird. I thought
and
about that
he
too.
is like an adult, and it's like.
One of those things I didn't think about at all.
Like,
but
it
yeah.
didn't have to be the same guy from the beginning, you know,
Yeah.
but whatever. I do like this actor. I don't.
Yeah, what was his name?
I can find it very quickly because I'm fast. I just need to.
I'm gonna beat you to it. Jack Davenport.
Jack Davenport.
Davenport. Yeah.
Norrington.
Yeah. This part definitely made me chuckle, where she's like, "I can't breathe," and he's like,
Yeah.
"Yes, I'm a bit short of breath myself."
Yeah, it's pretty funny. He just straight up fucking falls in, and
Yeah, and
we-
good setup for falling off the thing, because that'll come back.
yeah, for sure. And we get the cool shot of him like talking to them, and like her falling in the background.
Yeah.
And I do love the whole like exchange with them where he's like, so who's gonna save her? And can't swim. He's and I think what does he call them? He says something about Oh, actually, I did have a note. I forgot. When she falls down, what he's saying to them, he's telling them a story, and he says, "And then they made me their chief." It's like the end of the story
I
he's
missed
telling.
that. That's great.
Yeah, and then we see her falling, and he's like, "Which one of you are gonna save her?" And they say they can't swim, and he says, "Pride of the King's Navy, you are." And just immediately like dives in. I think this is the moment where this is a moment where we are like, this guy's a bit of a charlatan, but like
He's a hero.
with a gold heart, perhaps.
Yeah, he had nothing to gain out of saving her in this situation. So like,
yeah. I mean, yeah. Because
As
he
far
doesn't
as
know.
he
Who,
does- yeah,
no, he
he-
doesn't know who the fuck she is.
yeah. So this is just him being a good person. So I think, yeah, he's a complicated guy. I think he's willing to let her die if it benefits him, but he will go out of his way to help people.
Yeah, and we do get the coin hitting the water and the wild reverberation.
Yeah, that's pretty
the
cool. And
message
it's
being
setting
sent
up
out to the Black Pearl.
right. It's setting up too that there's magic in the story. And right after that, we get the wind blowing and the storm starts rolling in, which is very cool. Like just immediate mood change that I really like. And it's kind of the slow build up for the first act.
Yeah, that whole shift is really cool, and how it is really felt. Like it is almost like so like subtle enough in the like lighting and sound design that if you're like bought in at that point, it just feels like a mood change.
Totally. I had one line written down from Jack here when they take off the corset, and one of the soldiers is like, didn't know how to do that. And then there's a really puzzling line here. I'm not
Never been to Singapore, I guess.
Yeah, what does that mean?
It's just it's him. It's setting up his worldly nature. Like I think it's like, oh, he's been around, and I think
Women in Singapore wear corsets, or
no, like I think maybe it's like he went and saw ladies strip off their clothes or something. Like I thought it was like a little bit naughty, and also like, oh yeah, look at me, I'm so worldly.
I assumed it was naughty. I just didn't really understand what the reference meant, so I was curious.
Yeah, again, I think just kind of showing, wow, this guy's kind of wild, man.
And then the soldiers show up. They very quickly clock that he's a pirate.
Yeah, and like Norrington does the thing where he shakes his hand.
Yeah, I like that. He sees that he has the brand on him. Liz comes in. Elizabeth, sorry. I wrote down Liz on the notes all the time just because it was too much to write Elizabeth over and over. Elizabeth saves him, so immediately saves him back. And that's kind of what this whole story is everyone saving each other the whole time, which is fun.
Yeah, she obviously loves pirates. She gets so excited when she realizes who he is.
Right. Yeah, and it's probably just what we were talking about. She feels so suffocated, suppressed, and
Pirates represent like this freedom,
yeah, the ocean.
And then we do get the very classic line of, "But you've heard of me."
Yes, I love that.
Love that.
I
Very
love that
good.
he has a compass that doesn't point north.
His whole inventory is really fun.
Yeah.
Like, I
just
feel like
listing
if
them
you
off
were-
one by one. Yeah.
If you were in a video game, you'd be like, "Oh, this is fun." Like, oh, these are my things that I don't. And also, he like refers to them as his effects.
Yeah.
Like throughout the movie, like,
Yeah.
and he's very attached to them. Like, he's got his sword, he's got his pistol with one bullet, he's got his compass, and he's got his fucking hat.
Yeah. He is very methodical and kind of like ritualistic in a way, where it's just like.
It also kind of reminds me of like drunk people, like when they're like, "Okay, I just gotta make sure I keep my keys."
He is
on my
always
phone.
drunk. I don't think that's just him being crazy, right? Like, I think he's trying to play Jack Sparrow as always a little drunk.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. But you have heard of me. And very quickly, Jack takes Elizabeth prisoner. Again, just setting up, ooh, this guy, he's all over the place. He's saving her, putting a knife to her throat the next second. Yeah.
And he makes her put his stuff back on her,
Yeah, this
on
is
him.
a little steamy scene. He's like looking at the Commodore, like, oh yeah, she's touching me. You
And then
don't
there's
like
the
that.
whole Rube Goldberg machine of his escape, which
Yeah.
is so silly. Like,
Yeah,
he like flies up there, flies around the fucking thing on the chains. But it's fun to watch, you know?
It is fun. There was a couple parts where I'm a little like, yeah, I guess this is a kid's movie, and then other parts where it's really dark, and I'm like, wait, is it a kid's movie?
I think it's like PG-13. There's
Right.
there's not really blood.
Yeah, but still PG-13. It's not necessarily like, yeah, it has an interesting tone, I guess is what I'm saying, where it's kind of like a comedy, but it also is like this more serious adventure a lot of the time.
I think what the Rube Goldberg machine thing like achieves, and it probably could have done it in a different way, is that he's a bit of a buffoon, but
Yeah.
he still like figures shit out.
Right.
It kind of reminds me of like Drunken Master, like
Yeah.
like something
Jackie
about that,
Chan,
you
totally.
know, like just that whole sort of vibe.
Absolutely.
Well, not just Jackie Chan, but like just the style of fighting in general, like just
That's a real
stumbling
thing.
into-
I thought that was
yeah.
for the movie. Drunken martial arts, that's a real style of fighting.
Yeah, that's like a style
But
of
I think
kung
you don't
fu.
actually get drunk though. Right? I think it's just you move like a drunk person is the idea.
Yeah, but there's I think I don't know enough about it to speak on it, but I do know it is a style of I have heard is a style of kung fu.
Because I believe in the Jackie Chan movie, he's like needs to get drunk
Yeah,
to
no, I know he
fight.
doesn't. It's fucking sick, dude.
The day you almost caught Captain Jack Sparrow. That keeps coming back. Pretty fun line.
It is great. I do also like how we get the motivation for him to go to the blacksmith is like obvious because
Yeah.
he wants to get his chains off,
Yeah.
and it is fun that is where Will works, and
Yeah.
then like
Very well set
when
up,
the
yeah.
heroes meet, this is very. I do think we see this very interesting thing too, like the difference between them, where like, I mean, obviously he's trying to get his way, but he like hits the donkey with the hot
Yeah.
iron, right?
Yeah.
And then when we first see Will come into this room, he like calms the donkey down, and he's just like, "Oh, are you okay, donkey?" And it's just like kind of like he has this like softness to him,
Yeah,
right? He's
totally.
more about like acting appropriately and being polite, whereas like friggin' Jack Sparrow's gonna be a little bit more rough and tumble, rough around the edges, do what I need to do to get by. And then the sword fighting in this movie is fucking sick. The
Oh my God.
choreography and this
I mean, this fight in particular
is so well done. I love the different levels that it starts on, and like the back and forth of dialogue as well, and the way that we're getting this information about Will and how he sees himself. He despises pirates. He's a man of honor, and like he'll even say like that he accuses him of cheating. He's like, I could defeat you in like a fair fight, and I love all that shit. And again, another Rube Goldberg machine of like blocking that I thought was
Yes.
super fun.
I would go so far to say this might be my favorite scene in the movie, this whole fight scene here, just because it's so well choreographed. It's so cool looking. There's so many moments, like different parts of the fights where like, the part where they're standing on the cart,
Yeah.
the balancing
Oh
fighting.
my God,
And then the
yes.
music is so good, and then they're up on the rafters fight. It's just like such a cool set piece, the amazing theme playing, and I never noticed this before. This is so cool. Hans Zimmer straight up synced up the music with the sword clashes, and so it would pause when they're not hitting it. It would be like every hit would be ba ba bum ba ba bum ba ba bum ba ba bum, and it's like, wow, that is awesome. I am so hype and so into this right now. Love
Yeah,
it.
really fucking awesome choice. I also I liked the procedure so fucking much that I wrote it down, but I did want to say we also get the setup of like Jay Brown, the like blacksmith guy, is a drunkard, and it's obvious Will, cuz he even he asked him in the beginning like Governor Swan tells him to thank his master for the sword cuz he thinks that Brown is the one who made it, and we see that Will is willing to like not even take credit for
Yeah.
his own
Good guy.
for his for his own. I don't know about good guy. Maybe like I feel like it almost speaks to a lack of belief in it. But I guess you say good guy because he's covering for this drunkard.
Yeah, he's his mentor, and it's his business, and he doesn't feel like it's his place to take credit here.
Yeah, for sure. I think he made it. So I think it would have been okay to be like, actually, man, I made that shit. But see, then you're showing. I think what it really tells you about the character is that he is like modest, right?
Right.
Like humble. Because
Right.
sometimes there's cocky characters who I'm like, that's still a good guy, But
Oh, sure.
but yeah, Will is definitely very pure, like classic.
Yeah, I mean
Classic hero.
I mean,
Luke
he's fighting.
Skywalker
He's
type.
fighting Jack Sparrow. Oh, I guess he did hear about Elizabeth getting taken hostage,
Yeah.
so that's probably the main fuel for why he wants to defeat him here.
Yeah, he says something like, "You threatened Miss Swan" or something like that.
Right, and Jack immediately reads his interest in Elizabeth. He's very perceptive that way, and he starts trying to use that against him to again twist his psychology during the fight.
Yeah, he does tell him like, "You need a girl," and then I think this is the first movie I ever heard the word eunuch.
That's the first movie you've ever heard it?
The first movie I ever heard the word eunuch.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's just I don't think I would have. I don't remember hearing it in any movie I saw before this, because I remember learning what a eunuch was from this movie, where I was like, "What does that word mean?" And I think my dad was like,
Yeah. I don't know where I first learned it. I guess probably just like Chinese history. Like the eunuchs that ruled the imperial court was always like fascinating to me, and then they come up again a lot in Game of Thrones, of course.
"Yeah, but when was that? Like, when were you reading about Chinese history?"
I don't know. Yeah, not but after this movie for sure.
Word,
Yeah.
word. So you just heard it, you didn't even think about it. You're like,
Probably not. No.
I remember being like, what the fuck does that mean?
I love the setup here. This shot was not meant for you. Again, just like this sentimental thing for Jack. He's very rational and logical and methodical in a lot of ways, but like we were saying with his when it comes to his stuff, he decided on that island that he was going to use this pistol that was meant to blow his own brains out to kill the man who trapped him there and who stole his crew and stuff, and he's just completely dedicated to that.
Yeah, it is very, very badass. And it is just like a hint at it because like we've just heard a pistol with one bullet in it when they're describing his inventory, and then he says this bullet wasn't meant for you, and then we'll get like the explanation like later on. So it is like these sort of like escalating stages of explanation. You know, it's not just like from the beginning like one bullet in this gun. He's like, yeah, man, that's because I'm saving it because I'm gonna kill Barbosa. You know, a lesser movie would have done that, but you know. Well, it would be a much lesser movie, I would say.
They're very good at kind of just trickling out all the little character things and history here.
And along those same lines, the whole "you cheated" pirate, you know, like it is really kind of pointing at these flaws in both of them. Like Will is too trusting or too honorable, and you know Jack Sparrow is
a pirate,
a little bit of a scumbag.
Yeah.
And I love that we get Brown, you know, waking and hitting him over the head.
Yeah, that's a good end to that scene.
Credit for getting Jack Sparrow arrested.
Yeah,
it's
so funny.
good.
And a very clever little move to throw the sword so that he can't open up the bar on the door. It's
That's
like
wild. That's so sick.
Yeah, nice little, just like, makes a lot of sense.
But
cool.
Also like very skillful to execute something like that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, super cool.
It's a fucking sword, you know. It's not like a javelin or like something meant for throwing.
Right.
Like, so you got to think about that. The next scene where they have the fucking dog with the keys.
Yes.
Why do they? Why does the dog have the keys?
This is one of the few things I remember from the ride.
Oh, it's in the ride. That's right.
And it's the exact same like framing too. If the guys all bunched up together and the dog's just out of reach. Yeah,
that's right.
I really like
that's right. Yeah, because I remember the parrot going, "Dead men tell no tales." I did remember that from the ride, but as soon as I said it, I was like, "Oh shit, that's probably where it's from." Is like the ride.
Yeah, I love it,
and I like how we get sort of Jack Sparrow's attitude of like, it's not gonna work. He's not gonna come.
Yeah, that scene made me want to go on the ride again because I was like, oh wow, so nostalgic.
Yeah, the weird animatronics of the way that they move, dude.
Yeah.
I did always love that ride as a kid. I like lived in Southern California for 7 of the first 10 years of my life. So like I did get to go to like Disneyland a fair amount during that time.
Jealous.
During what happened is like during the summer both my parents would be working, so they would have me go to like day camps, like so I would just be there. And a lot of times, like, there was always trips planned to, like, Six Flags and to fucking, you know, Disneyland and shit. But, yeah. This is a tangent, but I remember the saddest I ever was when I was, like, 7 years old, maybe 8. I didn't get to go to maybe I was, like, 9. It doesn't matter. I didn't get to go to, like, Six Flags, with the rest of the day camp because this kid had been teasing me, so I kicked him in the fucking stomach.
Tragic.
Yeah, dude.
Tragic classic kid story.
Yeah, I wish I could say it was like Disneyland and I didn't get to go see my favorite ride, Pirates of the Caribbean, but that's just the truth. Those are the more material facts, Your Honor.
Appreciate you being honest with us and the folks at home.
Yeah.
The next thing I wrote down was boobs. There is a shot that is just like direct cleavage as Elizabeth's maid is like setting up her bed, and it's just like straight up like the half the frame is just her tits. And I think it's funny they do that a couple times throughout this movie. Like they're really leaning into like tits and sexy women. I don't know if you noticed that.
Nope. I was just thinking about how wild they're sticking like straight up hot coals in her fucking bed like that.
Yeah, actually, so my mom grew up in Poland and didn't have any electricity on the farm, so that's actually how they stayed warm in the winter.
That's wild. Because like I picture like you like people have like those hot water bags and shit. You know, so you like boil water and like pour hot water. Like I was familiar with those, but that's
Yeah, not
just like
coals. I think she just used like stones. Yeah,
stones.
hot
Sick.
stones. Yeah. Liz and the maid talking about boys. What about Will?
And she does say that is too bold.
Yep.
And we do have her holding the coin in a deeper sense that something is off.
Yeah.
And then we get Will also sensing something is off, and he sees a black cat run by.
Oh, I missed that. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice little touch.
I was like, is that a dog? And I was like, no, that's a cat.
The black pearl shows up. And I love that when it starts shooting, Jack.
I know those
I
guns.
know those cannons. Yeah, that's so funny.
I also love that they like blow the wall open of the like jail, and
Mhm.
like the other guys are able to escape.
But he's not. Yeah.
And then the guy says to him, "I'm sorry, you have terrible luck, dude."
Yeah, and it comes back later because he does get freed in the same way later.
Yeah, and I like they when he mentions that it's the Black Pearl, they're like, I've heard stories, there's no survivors, and he goes, I wonder who tells the stories then.
Yeah, he's always
Just kind of showing, he's on his feet,
he's always getting one up on everyone.
thinking on his feet. Then there's the whole sort of like, well, we do see like, because we know that the Black Pearl arrives because the Commodore, and the governor are getting like fired upon. That was like kind of
Awesome little set piece.
Yeah.
I forgot here, just the absolute
the montage of
destruction.
chaos.
Yeah, and I was like, this is awesome, and then it just like holds on this little boy crying, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
now I'm sad.
But we do get to meet the other two big comedic reliefs, which are the bald, short, chubby pirate guy and the
one-eyed guy.
tall, skinny one guy with the fake eye.
Yeah, they had names in the script, but like I don't remember them ever being called anything.
Rapetti and
Yeah.
Pintle.
Yeah. They probably get called at once or twice.
Rigetti. Rigetti and Pintle. Sorry.
Yeah.
Misread that.
Will immediately jumps into action again, just being a hero. He's like, "Pirates, I will fight." Jumps in there, starts fighting.
I do also like you get like a sense of Norrington just like being very like collected
Yeah.
under like and commanding the
yeah.
troops
Can we
and
talk about
telling
Norrington for a sec?
and I love how he just tells the governor, "Go to my quarters." Like that's an order.
Yeah, and I think he's such an interesting character because I remembered him being an asshole, and I think it's just because he's mostly like set up and like he's a bit dismissive sometimes. He's obviously like pretty oblivious to Elizabeth not reciprocating his feelings, but like he doesn't really do anything that I'm like, what a jerk throughout the movie. Like he's a pretty stand-up guy, and that's not what my memory of him was.
Word. I mean, at the end of the day, he is a fucking cop.
Hey man, someone's gotta fight off pirates when they come and raid your village.
Yeah, I guess so. They don't have to be such they don't have to have such a stick up their butt. I definitely do feel like he's got to stick up his butt.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, but he's like, I mean, he's a military man, so it's like, yeah, I get it. I mean, he has to be proper and prim. That's how he was taught. That's how he was raised, and that's who he is.
Yeah, for sure. Understandable. Like, yeah, I agree. I definitely think that he's you like watch the movie, you're like, not a horrible dude, not a bad guy, but my previous statement stands.
Elizabeth gets caught by the cartoony pirates we just described. This whole sequence is pretty goofy, of her fighting them off, but also like a lot of little clever moments too.
I mean, we also get an idea that there's something up with them because like the guy like fucking jumps like from the railing down to her, and you're like, what the fuck? That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
I did love before that where like the carpet being folded over a little bit, and like that attention to detail. It was kind of interesting. It felt out of character for those guys, but
Right.
and then as he approaches that line too, "Hello, pulpit." I
remember
forgot
it's
that it was
creepy
from
shot,
this
man.
movie.
Creepy
Yeah,
shot
through
his
the, like,
eye,
slat,
through the crack in the closet. Yeah, love that. And
It is very cool too because it's all like black on either side.
yeah,
It's
it's just like a
the little,
golden slit of light with his eye peeking through.
yeah, the little light that's coming through the middle of the screen.
parley. Elizabeth is gonna parley, and I love this whole kind of recurring thing, and especially because it keeps happening to these two guys, and the shorter one is just like so sick of it.
Yeah, by the end, by the
movie.
end of the movie, he's just like, if anybody asks for parlay, like they can go fuck themselves.
It's pretty funny.
It's good. It's fun. It is fun, and it's showing also like her level of knowledge.
Yeah,
Because she like talks about like Morgan and Blackbeard
Yeah.
like being the ones who like founded the code and all this shit.
yeah,
So like, wow, you are such a fucking pirate nerd.
yeah. I love that about her, and just very clever in general. She's she opens the window to make it look like she jumped out the window, and she's doing a lot of little things in this where it's like, yeah, she's on her feet, and I love scripts like this where it's like the characters are all smart, doing smart stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun, clever shit.
Yeah.
And definitely like when we finally get like Barbossa and fucking Jack Sparrow going back and forth,
Oh yeah.
it is almost as fun as watching two guys like sword fight.
Yeah.
But more fun, I would say, actually,
yeah.
in certain cases. But there's also a couple parts in this whole like mansion scene. Like, first of all, the fact that the guy fucking the doorman just like
Had no idea they were getting attacked by pirates.
when you can hear it outside and everything.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, a little goofy. Yeah, there's
secondly,
lot of
there's a
things like
guy
that.
who gets hit by a fucking cannonball inside the mansion. I remember seeing that, just going, "Jesus fucking
Yeah.
Christ, that's fucking hilarious."
And I also noticed that they shot the doorman in the head, but like he looked fine. You could see him in the background when they're running inside, like, which PG-13.
Yeah, there's
but,
not. Yeah, there's
but
not.
still, you could have like a spot of blood, right, in a PG-13 movie. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, they show blood later on for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Will
Maybe
sees,
there's just like a quota, like
Of
like
blood.
of how many gallons of
part
blood
of me
can
almost
be
wonders
visible.
if they were gonna lean into PG and they couldn't quite swing it or something.
I don't know. No, I don't. I
don't
don't
think
think so.
so?
No, I think it was. It feels very PG-13
Okay.
to me. A lot of the language and stuff. I mean, he calls him a fucking eunuch.
Okay. Yeah. Will sees Elizabeth getting taken, immediately gets bonked, passes out.
We also do get like the cool thing of he sees the guy who he killed before.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, he
Nice.
kills a guy and then he sees him like
Right.
again, and he throws the bomb at him and it like doesn't go off, and then like yeah, he sees Elizabeth being taken off and gets very lightly bonked on the head.
Yeah, a little comedic.
And I think right after this is when the cannonball flies through the prison wall,
Yep.
breaks them out, and he does say that he has the worst of luck, which I think is fucking funny.
Yeah, and they do come to Jack, and they foreshadow like how'd you get off the island, and they reach into Jack's cell, and he sees their arms in the moonlight. This is one of those things again where I'm like, I get for cinematic why you're revealing them like this, but there's plenty of moonlight we can see throughout the city. Like they should be skeletons when they're running around the city too, but they just kind of like prolong it.
Yeah, just for dramatic purpose.
Yeah.
I do like he says, "You know nothing of hell." It's a fucking sick line, dude.
Yeah.
I do love that he says that. I also like we're getting a little strings of exposition. Like he tells them they're gonna go to hell because that's reserved for like a special place in hell reserved for mutineers. So it gets you like, oh, perhaps like that's when like the first semblance. Oh, like he used to be the captain of the Black Pearl. They mutinied and they left him alone like on like an island. And it's a very quick like little like very efficient way of getting all that information across in a cool like dramatic sort of fashion.
Yeah.
And I do like the shot of the hand in like the moonlight. I feel like the CGI in this isn't like amazing, but it's not distracting in any way.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Yeah, like it looks like a 2003 movie, but like it's still good. Captain Barbossa we meet, who
I did want to say right
yeah.
before that though, Jack is trying to get the dog to come over with the bone,
yeah,
which is great. It is
I
like shows
love
that
it,
he's
yeah.
kind of like, you know, he's
he
like,
was making
fuck.
fun of him earlier for it,
Yeah.
and now he's like, "Oh, come on, please."
Yeah, he's holding the bone, and then he looks at the bone after he sees that the guy is bone.
Yeah, love it.
Bone, bone, bone. But yeah, I do love Barbosa playing dumb at first too, with like the way that he's sort of communicating, and then he ends up saying the line that she repeats to him later. But and we just see how like sharp he is as well. Like
Yeah,
he is
Great
like this
character.
intellectual match for Jack Sparrow,
yeah, he's a really good character.
and like getting her on technicalities, of course.
Right, that we in the pirate code.
A lot of technicalities.
Yeah,
like
they
well,
keep
also,
using that against each other, which is really funny because they're like trying to stick to the code. It seems like, but it's also like, but also fuck the code whenever it's convenient to fuck the code. So it's just like funny.
But also like she like says like, oh, this is like my terms, like, and they're like, and he's like, okay, and then she's like, wait, why are you sailing away? Like, take me back.
Yeah,
And
you
it's like,
didn't.
you didn't specify where and when, you know, which I think is kind of great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're not our prisoner, but you didn't say we had to put you on like ashore. So figure it out.
And then he does tell her the thing that they're more like guidelines, you know.
Yeah.
But oh, before that we get the like, cause they're playing coy about caring about the medallion,
Right, and she hangs it over the water like she's gonna drop it. Yeah,
and they all.
yeah, and that was it was very smart of her, right? She drops it a little bit just to see the reaction they're trying to play. I mean, they're not doing a great job of showing they're not
And-
caring even
yeah.
before that.
And then we have her making a really silly mistake that's kind of cute. It's like, who are you? Oh, I'm just a housemaid.
Oh,
My
yeah.
name is Elizabeth Turner.
Right, which sets this
Which is
whole
the
movie in
reason
motion.
why they want to take her.
Yeah, they would have let her go probably.
Or who? I mean,
They might have just killed her.
But
I
it
don't
is
know.
also smart because she is the governor's daughter, and the lady had said before they're coming for you because
Oh,
you're the governor's
yeah.
daughter, and they're gonna She even says they're gonna kidnap you, and yeah, I mean, it makes sense that she wouldn't say it because they would ransom her. Because how is she like? So
Yeah,
she
and
just picks a random name,
and it happens to be her love interest, right? So it's like
yeah,
it's
well,
also
it's
setting
planting
up
that seed. Yeah,
it's setting up that Will is on her mind. Good stuff. I would say that's kind of the end of Act 1 is what I would like. This feels like a pretty like solid 3-act structure for this one. And that you got your big climactic battle. The story has been launched into motion, and now we're going into Act 2 where, you know, they will try to pursue them.
Yeah, and in this scene we also get the setup of Bootstrap. We hear the name Bootstrap for the first time.
Bootstrap Bill.
I love Will just waking up in the middle of the street.
Yeah, little chicken next to him.
Yeah, and immediately he's worried, you know, and like you see him go and I think demand of the soldiers that they have to go save her, right? And then the soldiers, they already know that Jack Sparrow knows about the Black Pearl, these two comedians.
Yep.
And they
mention it.
They mention it, so Will is like, we got to have Jack take us to them. And
Right.
Norrington is not going to have it at all.
Yeah, and so this is one of those examples where like he comes off as kind of a jerk, Norrington, because he's like, stick to what you know, you're a blacksmith, not a soldier. But also, yeah, if you're like a commander and some dude is coming in telling you how to like run your army, you're gonna be like, no, get
I
out
think
of
the
here.
problem that we're running into here is that it's actually a good idea. But he is so like, I'm not going to trust a pirate. I'm not going to work with a pirate,
Right.
that he refuses to do it. But this ultimately is how they find Elizabeth. Like,
Right. No, yeah, so he's in the wrong, but he's not trying to be a jerk is my point. He's not just like talking down to him for the sake of talking down to him.
there's some classist vibes, you know,
Yeah.
like in the way that he treats Will, something that I definitely felt
Know your
even when
place
I
kind of thing. Yeah.
when I watched this when I was younger.
yeah.
And I think it's trying to show that it is like he may be a skilled commander like we saw in other scenes, but like his pride is something important to him, almost to perhaps a downfall.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm just on the anti-Norrington train now. No, I'm just joking. Like I said, I do think it is like, especially towards the end, it feels very kids movie the way that the like this guy who is like a secondary villain ends up like not even really being a villain at the
Right.
end. And
Yeah.
but Yeah, I do think it's interesting to talk about though, like because he did like I see the whole sort of like I am the commander of the like I'm the commodore, like you're just a blacksmith, like do your thing, but
Well,
I
it's
feel like there's also the like whole example of like lots of like really good leaders are able to take advice
right. Yes,
from
if he
like
was a better
anywhere.
leader, but yeah, I think that shows some incompetence from him, but it isn't necessarily like damning of his character, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. The classes things upset me more in this, where he's kind of like fucking simple blacksmith, you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And there is a little bit of animosity towards Will just because of they're both interested in the same woman.
Yeah, he can tell that he's like really invested in this.
Do not make the mistake of thinking you're the only one who cares for her,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yes, he does. Yeah, he does say that.
Yeah. Jack is talked into helping him because he realizes he's Bootstrap Turner's son, Bootstrap Bill's son.
Yeah, and we get the whole setup of like Isla de Muerta, which is really bad Spanish, but that's what it is. Isla de Muerta. And and he says that like you can only get there if you've already been there. More of this sort of like circular logic shit that is I feel like always inspires a sense of like mysticism, you know. Um Fucking Jack Sparrow's got lots of that.
Yeah, and I'm just out of curiosity, which part is improper? So Island of it would be the dead, and then is it Muerte? Is not the right usage of it in that context, or?
Um Isla de Muerta, um it would okay, so it would be it depends on what you're trying to say. If you're trying to say Isle of the Dead, or if you're trying to say like Isle of Death, Isla de Muerte. If you're trying to say Island of the Dead, Isla de los Muertos.
Mm.
And if you're trying to say Isle of something feminine that is dead, or like of the feminine thing, you would say Isla de la Muerta.
Right.
But I don't think you would say Isla de Muerta. You would say Isla de Muerte, like
Okay.
so.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
I like this part when they're sneaking out. Oh yeah, and we get Will breaking him out with the leverage, which is again, it's just fun. It's
Will Smart, dude. Will
yeah,
Smart.
it's one of those things where it's like I hit on this all the time when we're talking about these scripts, but it's just like it's so easy to just do it in a less fun way, But they do it. They keep doing things in a fun way, in an entertaining way.
Like he could have like stolen the keys,
He could have
right?
just gotten the key from the dog or something, whatever. But instead, it's like no, he's going to use his smarts and his clever
That would
ability.
that would be the easiest way for sure. I don't think the dog is there at that point though.
Sure. I just mean like there's
Yeah.
a million ways you could do that isn't as interesting or fun, right?
Yeah. It is also cool how he's like, yeah, I mean I built like this like most of these prison cells.
Right.
That's why he knows it.
Yeah, I like that. And I love when they're when they're sneaking away and Jack is asking him like, "Are you sure about this girl? Like, what is she to you or whatever?" And he's
Yeah,
like,
I'd
"I'd
die
die
for
for
her."
her." And he goes, "Oh, good, no worries then."
Yeah. Super dramatic, dude. This guy's intense.
Yeah, I like
I
that.
do like that. That's always a fun sort of like
dichotomy.
yeah, like a nice on-screen relationship. Someone who takes himself very seriously and someone who's just kind of like whimsical.
Right. Little like Mad Hatter energy from Jack Sparrow to an
feels
extent.
kind of like an odd couple sort of vibe too,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like when they do the whole under like flipped over boat thing.
I don't think this would work.
No, I don't think so either. No,
I don't think a boat would
No,
sink
it
to the
would-
bottom. It would float, right?
no, it would. Well, you can't do that. Like if like you flip like a Tupperware in like a tub of water, but the amount of strength because like the pressure.
Yeah, you'd have to.
The pressure is like so much. Like you would have to be really strong to be able to like pull it down that far. I think that there are like probably instances like if we were really good at like doing these sort of real world like calculations, we can maybe figure out like how
The
much
amount of strength you would need to pull it
yeah,
down.
because I mean it is like a thing where like there will like when boats like sink and shit, there will be like pockets of air.
Oh yeah,
Like
no,
that-
that is it. Like the survival strategy is if you are, if you're thrown from your boat and you can't flip it back over, yeah, you're supposed to hold on to the boat, but you're floating on the top of the river. You're not. You're not on the bottom of the river walking along it.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like in the ocean, like huge boats, like
Oh,
that like sink and stuff. Like
oh,
there'll be
sure.
pockets of air because like it is sort of like it is so heavy, like it's dragged down, and like the pockets of air are so small that they're able to be dragged down
Yeah,
as
well,
well.
I went. This is total side tangent. In the Bahamas, when I was a kid, I rode on something called the Bob, and this thing is super interesting. It's almost like an underwater motorcycle, and you wear like a helmet, like kind of a deep sea diver helmet type thing. And because it's pressurized, the water is just sitting under your chin, even though you're underwater. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think if it were smaller, it would be more probable. But it is a fun little scene. But yeah, definitely something where I was like, as a kid, I didn't think about it as much,
Yeah.
but now I'm definitely like, you can't do that.
Yeah, there's quite a few things like that, but it didn't really take much away from it because of the kind of goofy vibe. It works well with that kind of, you know, like since the movie doesn't take itself super seriously, like it gets away with more goofy things, I
Yeah.
think.
I also did like the back and forth of like, we're gonna steal that ship, and he says commandeer. It's a nautical term.
It's a good line.
And then when they do get on the boat, and fucking Will goes avast.
Yeah, and you get the whole that must be the worst pirate I've ever seen. Um, and I love that the whole setup here again. That's a little silly. Why would everyone from the ship leave to go check the other ship? If you what we're talking about here is they steal one ship by pulling up.
They take the Dauntless,
Yeah,
which is the huge warship. And actually, in my mind, I'm like, why are you trying to steal the huge, super slow ship? And then when they take the Interceptor out
yeah,
to get it under control, I was like, oh, I get it, because they're going to steal the other ship.
yeah,
And it is a fun little, like, heisty type
Yeah.
scene. But, like, yeah, there's like, why would you put every soldier...
Why wouldn't you have anyone on the ship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the way that like the guy tries to swing on the rope back to it. It just falls into the water.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious. Yeah, but yeah, so I mean, I guess checkmate, Norrington, you're kind of stupid.
Yeah,
And then I do like how the guy says to him, that must be the best pirate I've ever seen.
yeah, what does he say in response to the
That was Gillette.
Yeah, then he says, "So it would seem," and I do love that too. The slow Norrington appreciating Jack Sparrow is very satisfying throughout the movie. Where it's like, yeah, he's pretty cool, I guess. Oh, I also this is very clever. Is that not only have they stolen the other ship they tried to get them in, but they've also sabotaged the boat they were
They disabled the rudder chain.
Yeah,
Because they're like, dude, let's just like turn and fire our cannons on them.
yeah,
And they're like pointed and we see him like crashing into like the little like
the
like
boat,
the
yeah.
like the lifeboat. But yeah, very smart. Very
that.
very well done. And then the next scene we have the two of them on the Interceptor, and Will's dropping some of his lore,
Yeah.
filling us in on his background, how he was raised by his mother, that he that his like he didn't really like know his father, and
And he's smart, and it clicks for him. He's like,
yeah.
I know you knew my father. I'm not an idiot. Something along those lines.
Well, no, because what he says because Jack Sparrow starts to say to him, he says, like, I bet you're named after your father, like, and then like says, you look just like your dad, and then he's like, yeah, and then that's the moment where he realizes, oh, that's why you asked, like, you actually helped me, just because like who my dad is. And he's also like, there's the whole resistance of accepting that his father was a pirate. Like, he's so infuriated by that like idea at all.
Right, because he's such a goody two shoes.
Yeah, such an honorable dude.
Yeah, I love that. And a lot of the movie is just kind of exploring the more
Yeah, I mean,
romantic side of being a pirate. Yeah.
Jack Sparrow lays it out. He says, your father, like, you can either accept that your father was a pirate and a good man, or you can like...
Yeah, he has a great little monologue here. The whole what a man can do and what a man can't do are the only rules that matters. And he's like, see, I can do blah, 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 but you can't do this. You can accept your pirate father, but you can't replace, like, you can't say you don't have a pirate father, and all that. Just like
Yeah.
a fun little monologue.
It is good, and it's all in his twisted way of speaking as well.
Yeah.
And then we get Tortuga, the land of debauchery.
Yeah, I also wrote boobs next to that. They go to Tortuga. I think there's a lot of just
I did
the
see that-
classic corset, like very tight fit.
I saw that sort of like in the as part of like the tableau in one of the shots. There's also this lady randomly putting her skirt over the guy's like head and pulling it off, which is really silly because she's like wearing like layered skirts.
Hmm.
So she's like, it wasn't like she was like, I don't
Doing
know.
something
It's just
tantalizing.
it's just funny because a lot of the blocking in the rest of the movie is like so thoughtful with the fights and stuff. And for some of these like debauchery scenes, it just feels like, all right, just like fight and drink and like, I don't know, be sexy.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Because then they go into the bar and like literally, after Mr. Gibbs and everyone's just like fighting. Like literally
Yeah,
everyone
it's
is
very
fighting.
silly, yeah. But it's like, again, that's one of those things that just works for me because it's such a goofy movie. That's like,
Yeah, it is.
all right,
it
I
is.
want them all to be fighting. That's
Yeah,
great.
it is. It's fun, but it's still, I'm still just like, this is so ridiculous. Like this movie is ridiculous, and I like that it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and we get the slaps for Jack, which is a funny bit.
Yes,
It's
I'm not
always the
sure I
same-
deserve that.
Yeah, and it's always the same camera frame every time he gets slapped and looks back and says something.
Yeah, I'm not sure I deserve that. And then he's like, and then Will says, "Are you gonna say that you didn't deserve that?" He's like, "No, I deserve that one."
I think that happens twice too, because later he gets
I
slapped
think
again.
I think that actually happens. I think the first time is, I don't think I deserve that. Definitely deserve that. And then with Anna Maria later on, played by Zoe Saldana, that's when they have the, are you gonna say you didn't deserve that one either? And he says, "No, I definitely deserve that one."
I like that they find
Mr. Gibbs,
Mr. Gibbs in the
Who-
with
who-
the pigs.
who was in the first part of the movie working for the governor.
Yeah, I was very confused. This is something I didn't really clock as a kid.
It's very
We don't really
interesting.
get any backstory on this turn for Mr. Gibbs.
Well, he does mention that like back when like he does some exposition about Jack at one point, and he says this is before I ever like worked with him.
Mm-hmm.
So which kind of lines up with his timeline of working for the governor.
Right.
But yeah, who knows? Just like a government employee not making enough money, maybe
Got
too many
wrong side.
ladies on too many boats, and he was like, I gotta get out of here.
Right. Too many ladies on too many boats. Yeah.
It's
That
bad
was
luck.
the final line.
It's bad luck, dude. Too many ladies, too
Just
many
want to be with the
boats.
bros out on the open sea.
I love the movie that he's sleeping with some pigs.
Yeah.
They throw the bucket of water.
Uh-huh.
Then he throws the second one. And he's like, I'm already awake. He's like, no, that one's for the smell. That's,
And he's just like, yeah, that's fair.
yeah, okay, fair. This is good. This, some
Good, silly
serviceable
stuff.
comedy.
Yeah.
Some silly shit.
Pirate bar fight. I do like that Jack brings back the line that Will threw at him here, where he's saying he's telling Mr. Gibbs he wants to get the Black Pearl back, and he says it's a matter of leverage, which is what Will said to get him out of the prison. And he looks over at Will, and this is also telling you as the audience, okay, so Will is more important than we understand.
Yeah, for sure. And then we're getting this idea too that like Jack isn't above using Will to get what he wants, which is ultimately the Black Pearl.
Right. Yeah, he freaking loves that shit, man. Oh my goodness, he loves
He
that shit.
loves that ship,
He
dude.
really
I
loves
love
that
the
shit.
part later on where he's like, "Please stop putting holes in my ship."
Yeah. Funny line. And I like the Mr. Gibbs' final line here at the end of this scene when he's convinced to go with Jack. He
Their
says,
little cheers.
he says, I think I feel a change in the wind,
Oh,
says
yeah,
I. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like the start of the setup where like where Gibbs is scared, but Jack is like confident. And so we get an idea of the magnitude of what they're trying to do
Right.
and how
good
much Gibbs trusts Jack's like ability to like contend with these sort of like things.
Right.
But yeah, and then the little cheers after what you said, they say, take what you can, and then he responds, give nothing back.
I love that.
Felt very piratey.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
good.
that shit. Very fun. Feels like a cool secret handshake. I love secret handshakes.
Hell yeah. Then we got Liz going to dinner with Barbosa.
Yeah, no, it is a the whole like you'll be dining with the captain and he wants you to wear this, and then she says the line that he said to her earlier, I'm disinclined to acquiesce to this request.
Yeah.
Great callback. And then you just see how Barbosa is like scheming ahead because he said, oh, he thought you would say that, so
you have to dine with us naked.
Yes, and then he looks legitimately crestfallen when she's like,
he thought she was gonna go for it. Yeah.
He's like, no, yeah, come on, it's a great proposition.
And I had forgotten this detail. Barbosa breaks down the curse to her. I had forgotten it was Aztec gold, and it was the curse on Cortez, the greed of Cortez. I love that. That's cool, like world lore building. Yeah,
for sure. And I love the 882 pieces. There's a lot of this little like nuance, like little parts of it, right? That when he's describing everything. I also like the whole thing about like how she thinks it's poison, and we have the whole apple thing, very like Snow White coded, but like it is because he just wants to see her like enjoy eating. Because he even tells her like when she starts eating, he's like, there's no need for like being proper here. You must be starving. And then she just like dives in.
That's a great point. Yeah.
And he's just
he's just like
vicariously living through her, watching her like gorge on all these things that like.
That's a great point.
That she can't eat. Yeah, which I thought was kind of fun, and made me kind of like sympathize with him. Like especially later on, what he wants. He doesn't even say anything weird or horny. He just wants to eat apples, dude.
Yeah.
That's the
That's a good, and it very like biblical, right?
Yeah, Jeffrey Rush, of course.
Yes,
so
we didn't mention his name. He's really good. Yeah.
I love that he's got a pet monkey too.
Yeah. Do we get a name for the monkey? I forget.
Yeah, Jack.
Oh, yeah, that's right. we named the monkey Jack.
Thank you, Jack. He's like, you're welcome. No. I'm talking to the monkey.
I love that.
I do the line, the heathen gods curse the gold. I'm like, that's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that it's probably appropriate for the time and everything, but I was like, okay, I might have I might have liked it a little bit more if they were like specific. If they like, he said the like
Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah, or something like that. That would be fucking sick, dude.
Hell yeah.
That would make it feel even more sort of Lovecraftian.
Ooh,
I said that really quiet, but Lovecraftian.
Yeah. I wouldn't say there's a ton of Lovecraftian. I mean, there's horror elements to this movie, but it doesn't really feel like
Davy
in that
Jones.
vein. Yeah, Davy Jones. Yeah, in the second movie, that's more Lovecraftian for sure.
Davy Jones feels real Lovecraftian with his friggin'
Cthulhu
tentacle
head.
beard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, who does a caveat about them play in those movies?
Oh, I forgot that he was.
Yeah, he's in one of these movies.
That's fun.
I don't think it's Davy Jones though. Davy Jones is some.
We stand Javier Bardem on this
podcast.
We do.
We love him.
And we get the setup here of one of the most iconic lines. I hardly believe in ghost stories, she tells Barbosa. She tries to stab him. Well, she does stab him, which is great. The skeleton crew revealed.
He also does ask her what was your plan after you stabbed me, which is a great question.
Yeah, what were you gonna do next? Yeah, I like that a lot.
You best start believing in ghost stories, Miss Turner. You're in one.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And before that, he says this awesome line too, which I hadn't really thought about, where he describes he talks about food turning to ash in their mouth. They can't feel the physical pleasures of flesh, and he says, I feel nothing. And it's so
yeah, he gets a lot. Barbosa has these long kind of poetic monologues.
Oh, he's so good. He's my favorite performance of the film.
Yeah, and just great dialogue. Well, because he's such an he's this philosophical pirate captain, right?
He also is just I think the such a classical approach. You could see this character treading the boards of the Globe Theater. It's that kind of vibe to him where I'm just he has that weight to him where and it's because it's fucking Jeffrey Rush, who is a fucking phenomenal fucking S-tier actor,
Yeah, we haven't really talked about Johnny Depp's performance. Yeah, where does that land for you? His portrayal of Jack Sparrow.
I like it. I think it's fun. I think it's an interesting sort of take. I think it works with the whole buffoon thing, and you're not sure is he mad or is he super or they even say to him, somebody says, I think Will says to him at one point this is either the craziest thing or the smartest thing, the most clever, and that's really him. It's between crazy and clever. It's broad. It's big. some parts of it I am actually no, dude. I think I'm pretty like in on it
Hell yeah.
in this first one.
Yeah, I'm mostly there with you. I would say there's maybe like it's 5% too much for me, like just a little over the top, but like the movie is a little over the top, so
Yeah, I think he's matching the like the ham content of the rest of the film.
yeah, for sure. And just when Elizabeth is like running around the ship here, when we get the big skeleton crew reveal, it's just like a really fun sequence with there's the part where she's getting chased behind the wheel and she spins the wheel and like each of the rungs on the wheel are hitting the zombie head, and then you
His
got the
head
zombie
gets knocked back. He knocks his head back into place.
right, you get the zombie monkey. There's even a part where she falls into like some like hole on the ship, and they have a sheet that they all start throwing her up with.
Yeah,
it's just like it's all very like
another Rube Goldberg sort of thing. We also see them all like scrubbing the deck.
yeah.
And I know they are like zombie-esque, but I would skellies. Come on, dude. I think we gotta separate. You know, these are straight up skeletons. I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah.
I actually my note is Freaky Skellies in the Moonlight,
Yeah.
which would be a cool name for a song. I think.
I'm on board. Get it?
This is where I have my note that the CGI isn't great, but it's serviceable. You know,
Yeah.
2003 CGI doing what it needs to do. I mean, I'm sure there's. You know, if this movie was made 20 years before, like you would think about maybe doing like puppetry or something like that for these parts. But yeah, no, something about the movements I think would feel maybe too corny.
Now that you
And
say that, I do feel like there's a better version of these effects if it's just like practical.
Yeah, I think there's a better way to execute it as well.
Yeah. I do like a lot when after he says that line, "You best start believing in ghost stories." He takes a big swig of wine and you see it pour out through his ribs. That's really cool.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool imagery. I also like think it's interesting how like the fluid dynamics are different when they're in the moonlight than when they're not. Because then we have the scene where he sticks the bomb in his stomach and pushes him back away from the moonlight, and he can't get to it.
Yeah.
Like it's very interesting how the skin is there, and then it's not.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about this throughout the movie. It's just super magical. Yeah, like their body they do have a physical form. Yeah. For sure.
After this, we have the Tortuga crew lineup, and we see that Will is kind of like doubtful and kind of cast our eye across the crew. They do kind of seem like a wacky little bunch.
Yeah,
you know?
I like how he's trying to prove that this is a good bunch, and it's like, oh, he doesn't talk, but his
wind in
parents,
your sails, wind in your sails.
but his parents, that means yes.
Yeah, we've gathered that means.
and he's like, are you convinced?
And then we get Anna Maria.
Two more slaps.
Yeah, and that's when he says to him, "I suppose you didn't deserve that one." And he says, "No, I did." And Gibbs comes back with his whole frightful bad luck to have a woman aboard. Like, let it go, bro. Let it go.
Hey man, he's had a rough life, and there's always been women on the ship when things go wrong. So hey,
Maybe it's him. Maybe he's the bad luck.
the bad luck. Yeah, good point. Good point.
I like Zoe Saldana in this like smaller role.
Yeah, she's not in it much, but yeah, she does a great job with.
And I like that that fucking Will is like, you can have this boat. And
Yeah.
Jack Sparrow's like, wait, what the fuck?
That boat? Yeah, okay.
He just like acquiesces.
Yeah. Sailing through the storm.
And
is
he's
really
staring
fun.
at the compass, dude.
Yeah, and like you said, in the desert movies, we want to see them get dusty. We want to see them get
We
dirty.
gotta get wet.
We gotta get wet
We gotta
in
get
these
so wet.
aquatic film, and they are soaking wet.
Soaking wet, baby. Not only are they soaking, we got someone soaking wet in the first scene.
True.
Lil Will Turner soaking wet.
Yeah, we love getting wet.
Yes.
They arrive at the island. This movie really moves, you know? We're already getting there. Reveal of Jack's backstory. Reason has nothing to do with it, I wrote down. What is that referring to?
So wait, we have the storm,
Yeah.
and you see him sort of like sailing towards wherever the compass is
remember now, yeah.
pointing, and like we get the background about like we're not trying to find north, like, you know.
Yeah.
like-
Which is so cool. A
It
compass
is,
that
and-
just points to the island?
Yeah,
Or is
that's what I figured. And then like she's like, he's saying, "Oh, you probably want to do something with the ship." And he's like, "No," and he's like, "Oh, why?" And he's like, "Oh, we're catching up, you know, and you see, I like this part because you see like this fervor in his eyes, like he's so like single-minded in his pursuit of the Black Pearl. But then after that is where we get Elizabeth. She's like staring out of the window, like towards like the island, and that's when when they first arrive.
Right.
We get these very cool sort of like stone archway shots,
Yeah.
which I really really like, and then we see the big full shot, wide shot of the island.
Yeah.
And then we get them
It
going.
looks awesome. It's a big volcano island.
It's very. It looks like an Isla de la Muerta. And then I love the ship graveyard too. Like
Yeah.
that's like surrounds it. Very
yeah.
sick.
Yeah. Just good. I like. Yeah, they're really just pulling from a lot of just classic tropes here, but it like works so well to set up that vibe. I love it.
Yeah, and we get the dead men tell no tales. Dead men tell no tales.
Yeah, and so I think it's here. Is it after the storm? We go back, and this is when Will is asking about the compass.
Yeah, no. The compass is before. Is in the same scene where he's like staring at the compass.
Right.
This part is where Gibbs gives him the whole backstory.
Right, of how he
Jack.
was left to die on the island. And Will asks him, is that the reason? He's all like frickin' wonky.
Orlando Bloom does a great impersonation of Johnny Depp in this part too. I really like that.
And that's the line, reason has nothing to do with it,
Yeah,
which is a good line.
because he says he went crazy with the heat, then he does the impersonation. Is that all? Yeah, I do love that line. Reason has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And then we get the whole background on the gun with the one bullet in it.
Yes, which is awesome. And that he escaped on a raft of sea turtles. And then Will's
The
like...
rope from the hair off his back.
yeah, he's like, what he tied the sea turtles together with. Yeah. Human hair. I love that.
It's pretty gross, but pretty funny.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but it's definitely the funniest answer.
Yeah, which is cool because there is a lot of whimsical stuff in this movie, but later on we do get like a solid answer for it, which I kind of love.
Yeah,
that
peeling back this...
because Jack Sparrow is kind of like a
tale.
folk hero.
Yeah,
He is
exactly.
kind of this like larger than life sort of like who's the big famous guy? Paul Bunyan.
Mm,
Kind of like a Paul Bunyan or like Johnny Appleseed type dude.
sure. For sure.
And then we do get the huge treasure trove that they've accumulated, you know,
Yeah.
and more of the two comedic duo. You know,
Yeah.
being cute together.
Yeah, he has a really funny line here where they're talking about what they're going to do. He's like, oh, you could afford a glass eye or something. And he says something just like the best delivery. This eye does splinter something terrible.
And he starts like moving his eye around.
He has a wooden eye. Brutal.
Yeah, I know. And he's like, dude, stop.
Why? Just take it out. Wear an eye patch. Why do you need a wooden eye?
I don't know, man. I have no idea, but it's funny.
It is funny.
He gets
And
a
it keeps
fucking
coming
fork.
back.
It gets
Yeah.
a fork in it later.
He's chasing it around the deck at one point. Yeah. Jack and Will arrive around the same time, and I was wondering in this. I was and not that it really matters too much. I was like, how could they possibly have caught up with them when they were stopping all the way, but they're like right there? And I'm like, oh yeah, well they did get caught in that storm, so there is like a feasible way where they could have caught up just by following the storm winds, like some crazy current.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, you know, it doesn't have to be like perfect time. Who knows, right? But yeah.
It does
They-
feel like the pirates arrive and then they're like right there, right after.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And then we do get sort of Jack Sparrow telling Gibbs, you know, that like
Follow the code.
Yeah, to follow the code, which means and like any man who falls behind gets left behind.
Brutal.
Which is a little setup too for later on.
Yep. Yeah, good stuff.
And then we get sort of Jack telling Will, like, you're becoming a bit of a pirate, you know? And he's like, no, I don't care about, like, treasure or anything like that. He's like, treasure isn't always just gold and silver, as they, like, look over and see, you know, Elizabeth, the love of his life.
Yeah.
His treasure
Yeah.
in danger.
Good stuff.
It's kind of cool how, like, the scenes, like, the, like, narratives kind of, like, join at that moment is really kind of fun. Like, the way they peek over the edge. And then they do it. We have the cool thing of them like touching the coins and them falling down. And the monkey is just so perceptive, immediately notices it.
Yeah, I love this little monkey, Jack, keeping an eye on everything throughout the movie.
He's so dapper too.
Yeah, and like very smart because like Barbossa's like giving him order. He's like, "Go get me the coin" at one point, and he goes and gets him the coin.
Yeah.
I really like Barbossa's speech here. I didn't write down any lines from
Yeah,
it.
I put that he's doing like a fire and brimstone preacher
Yeah.
type sort of thing.
Yeah, great little performance. And at one point he's talking about suffering, and I think it's the guy with the wooden eye.
Yeah.
He goes, "Suffered I have."
Yeah.
Will knocks Jack out. Twist. He doesn't want to be used as leverage. He doesn't trust Jack, which
Yeah.
fair move. Fair move. He does kind of leave Jack behind here though, so that's kind of shitty. But hey.
Well, whoever falls behind gets left
Yeah.
behind, dude.
Yep. They drop the coin into.
I do love the whole sort of setup of like it's a blood sacrifice,
Yeah.
and it's like fuck, dude, they're gonna kill her.
Yeah.
And-
They have her neck over the chest to make you think that as well, that they're
Yeah.
about to slit her throat.
No, they just cut her hand a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I love how it's like, how do we know if it worked? He immediately shoots the guy.
Yeah. You shot me.
And then he calls them a feckless pack of ingrates.
Yeah, I like that line too. After Liz gets away.
Yeah, well, they're also like, because like, they realize that she lied about who she was
Right. He slaps her.
and like knocks her off to the side.
Yeah.
And then they all get mad at him, and they're all like, hey man, everything that bad ever happened to us,
They're about
it's
to
all
turn on
your
him.
fault. Yeah, they're about to mutiny.
Yeah.
And then they realize, oh shit, they're getting away. And then that's when he calls them a feckless pack of ingrates.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's great. What does feckless mean?
That's actually, I don't know.
I'll tell you. Lacking initiative or strength of character. Irresponsible.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
This is funny.
I like Barbossa. And Jack kind of stumbles out after being knocked out, and he's immediately surrounded. He's like, oh crap. Immediately, and he's trying to remember the parlay line.
Yes. Parsley.
Yeah, this is one of those moments where it's like, yeah, it's funny, but it goes,
Do you
it's
know
just a little
what-
much. Like,
I was thinking he was like acting like
acting dumb.
no, like getting hit in the head. Like it kind of seemed like
Oh, like he's still trying to collect himself. Yeah.
I was kind of like, does he have a traumatic brain injury?
He's just like, yeah. At the end of this movie,
But
what
when
they
I-
don't show you is he has a hemorrhage right up as it cuts to black.
what I thought was like when I realized that he was like, oh no, it's just like a bit like that he can't remember the word, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a little silly. But I do like that that makes the other guy say parlay, like asking the question. The guy looks at him like, God fucking damn it, dude.
Yeah.
Not parlay again,
I like
dude.
the ongoing joke of parlay, but yeah, I didn't love the little bit of parsley.
I do like that he says parsley. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But then like we see that they go to the the rowboats and all of the oars are taken.
Mm-hmm.
And like fuck, and then we see that Will, very clever of him to take all the oars,
Yeah,
and he's kind of
smart.
like throwing them overboard as he comes up with Elizabeth.
Yep.
And I love that we have this very brief moment where she recognizes Mr. Gibbs.
Oh yeah.
She's like, Mr. Gibbs?
Yeah. I don't think that comes up again, huh?
Nope.
Yeah.
And then he goes, where's Jack? And fucking Will just says he fell behind.
Yeah, which is the most unheroic thing we've seen Will do. And maybe in the whole movie, this might be the most unheroic thing he does.
Yeah, probably. Then we get Barbossa asking Jack how he got off the island. And this is definitely where I was thinking, like, yeah, he has mystique to him, even to an undead guy.
Yeah.
You know, I like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like, even Barbossa's like,
Especially at when he comes around the second time, and they're like, "Are you kidding me?"
yeah, like what the fuck, dude? I love that.
Yeah,
all
me
that
too.
that they like sort of reenact part of what happened off screen, where they like fucking take him and drop him off on like the fucking island.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jack leverages Will here because he knows they need. He knows where the blood is that they need.
Yeah, for sure. I did just want to note, before she recognizes Mr. Gibbs, she says, not more pirates, which is funny for
Oh, yeah.
Elizabeth to like have this attitude now where
Right.
she's like, I love, like, you know, she's a big pirate fan, but like now she's kind of like over.
She's over it.
She's over pirates.
I would be too, I think.
Not me. Not never.
You get a nice tender moment between Liz and Will. Will is dressing her wounds, which we've seen now. This is the second time we've seen this in Tremors. There was also a tender tending wound moment. Nice little like easy way to get physical contact between your characters in a way that makes sense, and like if you're having a budding romance, it just works.
Yeah, they're it's definitely like very like thick with like that attraction too. It's
Yeah.
just like definitely like very felt.
She tells him, "Don't stop."
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty heavy-handed, but hey, man, I like it.
Yeah, they're a good pairing,
Yeah.
Keira Knightley, Orlando Bloom.
Yep.
And then we get the reveal that she took the necklace, and
Yeah,
he's like, I
and-
thought I lost
And
the
I like
medallion.
this too because it does feel steamy, and one of the like classic tricks of storytelling is you really draw out that romance to make it as like climactic and steamy as possible. And so this is a great example where they come in hot, right? She's already like, "Please don't stop touching me," and like this could easily escalate, but because it ties into the story of like, you betrayed me, you didn't tell me that you took
Yeah.
this coin, and immediately like
and it's a reminder that
turns
his
off the
father
heat.
is a pirate, which
Yeah.
like really fucking pisses him off.
yeah.
Yeah, they don't kiss till the very end of the movie.
Yep. Yeah, and it's very effective storytelling.
Like I was saying, Barbossa and Jack Sparrow going back and forth,
Yes, that when they're
just
negotiating
clever
here.
dudes
Yeah.
talking in twisted ways. It's so fucking entertaining. And then we get that sort of cherry on top of fucking Jack eating the apple right in
Mhm.
Barbossa's face.
And he gets under his skin here.
yeah, I mean, he leaves it, and then like Barbossa just like fucking like he offers him a
Tosses the
bite, and he
apple,
just
yeah.
like throws it. He like looks at it for a second too, almost like thinking about it, you know?
He really wants it. Jack just wants the black pearl, and Barbossa just wants a fucking apple.
And we do have like the cool shot of him looking through like the telescope, and then like friggin' Jack Sparrow just like whoop right into like frame of
Yeah.
the telescope. Some pretty silly, fun stuff.
Yeah, because he's kind of wanting them to not catch them, I believe, right? Because he knows he loses all his leverage if they catch them.
Yeah, I think so. I think he.
Because they're now chasing after the rest of our heroes on the Black Pearl.
Yeah, I mean, there's also, he said, like, there is this thing where, like, Barbossa is like, this is why you lost the captaincy of, like, the, like, Black Pearl. Like, basically saying, like, you're too soft, because he's like, we're just going to kill everyone on board. And then they throw him in the brig.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense to me, but
Yeah, he says it's easier to just kill them all.
yeah, why didn't you? Yeah, another one of those moments where I'm like, well, that doesn't make much sense, but okay.
He does take them all
You
prisoner.
throw away the beautiful woman, you leave her on an island with your arch nemesis, but you keep the rest of the crew just chilling on your ship for some reason.
Yeah, we do get a cool sort of like moment of like they're being chased,
Yeah.
and it's like we see how like quick the Black Pearl really
Yeah, I
is,
love
like
that.
how quickly it's catching up, and I like how Elizabeth says to Anna Maria says, "This is the fastest ship in the Caribbean," and Anna Maria goes, "Yeah, tell them that when they catch up." But we do have this like cool cleverness from Elizabeth saying like, well, we're like shallower, right? Like, and yeah. She's like, okay, well, can we lose them in like those shoals?
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, let's start shedding all the weight we can, and they start throwing shit off the boat, like as they because they're gonna try and lose them in this like shallower water, right, where the Black Pearl
Yeah.
would
Good
cut
plan.
too deep. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good plan.
And just awesome ship battle. There's something just like so exciting and hype about two ships just blasting the crap out of each other with cannons.
Yeah. Speaking of wet, though, I love how leaky the Black Pearl is.
Yeah.
Like they throw him in the brig, and it's just like so like there's just a pool of water
Yeah.
on the ground. Really, like it is almost like the ship is like can't die, right? Like it's cursed as well.
Yeah,
like
it's held together by a curse. Yeah, I like that.
oh yeah, it's great. Good shit.
Cool.
Yeah, and all the procedural shots of them pulling out the sweeps and everything, like
Yeah.
coming towards them, and then Will kind of like in them having this realization that they're kind of like defeated,
Right.
and Will being like, no,
No, we gotta fight.
let's use the cannons, and they're like,
Yeah, and
okay,
loading
well,
it with utensils and stuff. It's
we
so
just
fun.
threw everything off board, and they're like, no, just use whatever we got, yeah, and that's where we ultimately get the cool the fucking fork and the fucking wooden eye too, which is so fucking funny. I feel like I remember that shot from when I was a kid. It probably made me laugh my ass off when I was like 12 years old.
Hell yeah.
And we get Gibbs' flask getting thrown in there as well.
Yeah, he takes a swig and then he grabs the flask from his hand. That's a
yeah,
good little
just
bit.
puts it in there.
Yeah, and a very clever little trick here. I just like some good classic boat maneuver tactics. They throw the anchor down to spin the ship.
The
which
starboard anchor. Yeah, very smart.
I like that a lot.
It was very cool. And because like I think what the problem is that they realize that it's going to be the ship is going to be on top of them and will present a good target. Like they'll turn too slowly.
Right.
So Elizabeth says, drop the anchor and we'll turn like immediately and be able
Right.
to like fire on them.
It is kind of weird. Like, I know that they want to give her like a clever moment. It is kind of weird that the one who has the least amount of experience with the ship, like, is the one who's like, yeah, this is the plan.
Yeah, well, I think part of it is like we see it like damages the ship. Like I think maybe like the recklessness of it is like born of someone who has less experience but knows how boats operate.
Thinking outside the box, yeah.
Perhaps, yeah.
That's a good
I
take,
don't know. Yeah. And we do get the medallion. Like again, we're reminded of where it is, like under, like below decks, like on like the table, and it like sort of like sliding.
Right.
Then we get the really funny stop putting holes in my ship.
Yeah.
Really silly.
Yeah, and
very funny.
And it blows a hole in his block perfectly, so he can now leave. And I feel like this works better. The convenience of him just being able to escape because it blew a hole in it works even better because it didn't let him out the first time. So it's like
almost like luck has to be on his side this time.
Yeah.
I also like how like Elizabeth kind of being like, oh, you know, coming up with these plans. Now Gibbs is like, all right, give us another plan. And she's like, it's your turn. And he says, we need a devil's dowry. And then Anna Maria's like, yeah, let's fucking give her to the fucking pirates. It's kind of funny, but like I feel like kind of shows how these people like, oh yeah, we like them. They're like our crew, but don't get it twisted. They're still pirates. Like,
yeah, they're cutthroat.
Yeah, they're in it for themselves.
Yep.
But Will volunteers.
Yeah.
He says, you know, they're that she's not who they're after.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, okay, I have to go back downstairs to get the medallion, you know, like to be able to give myself up, which sets up that he gets like trapped later on, which is very fucking like anxiety.
Yeah.
Like so anxious like during that whole scene, the whole like water rising.
Just good stakes. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it keeps flashing back to him as he's in a more and more perilous situation as the battle is raging around him. And an interesting choice to keep him out of this battle, right? Like we've seen him fight so many times. Yeah. Cool shot of the interceptor's mast getting knocked down. A lot of cool epic
naval
fight.
battle shit.
It's good stuff.
I also like that Jack, there's just like a rope that like swings to him from someone boating.
Yeah, he grabs it from them, yeah.
Just like boarding the other ship and he just like swings back. Like, just kind of like, it's so funny how he is unlucky, but also like, again, is like a buffoon who like trips into, like kind of Mr. Magoo-esque.
Yeah, where everything just kind of works out for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. The monkey gets the medallion.
Yes, from like, and like we see Will like sort of drowning in the monkey, like, fuck you.
Yep.
Definitely feels like the monkey, great acting.
Oh yeah.
The monkey definitely looks like he's saying fuck you as he leaves. And then we get the whole thing about how the monkey's named Jack.
Yep.
Because he says, thank you, Jack. You're welcome. No, we named the monkey Jack. It's great.
His delivery too. No, we named the monkey Jack. Like he's so smug about it.
Yeah, he's so excited to tell him.
Yeah.
Then the huge explode. They're gonna blow up the fucking ship.
Yeah, this is one of those things. Most likely, Will can't survive this in actuality, but there's enough room because it shows that he probably. They don't even show it, but it kind of leads you to believe that he swam out through one of the holes in the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, before it blew up. So maybe he could get away. It's a pretty big explosion, but one of the smaller nitpicks for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I could see it happening.
Yeah,
I think it's better to have
possible.
it happen off screen and then have him like appear again.
Yeah.
Although he pops up like pretty quickly. Like the fucking boat explodes and then she's like pissed off that he's dead and then he just like pops up on the deck.
Oh yeah.
Which is like at that point I'm almost like maybe you could just show it if he's like only gonna be gone for that short period of time.
Sure.
Maybe show us him like escaping and like the explosion underwater. But again, you know, whatever.
He gets a great heroic moment here by basically putting himself in complete.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, he
line
threatens
of
them
fire.
with the fucking gun and
he points it at himself. Yeah.
Yeah, very very cool. And they're like, I love also how they haven't realized it yet. So like, what do we care if you like blow your brains out? And then he is like, I am like Bootstrap Bill's son. And then that's when everything. Or no, I don't think he tells. Does he tell them yet?
Yeah, I mean,
I think he does. I think that's
yeah.
what gives them the stakes of everything. And he's
yeah,
like,
he reveals himself. Yeah.
and then we see again. There's this sort of like this bargaining, and Jack tries to get him to shut up too, and he's like, oh, because they ask him,
This is
who
all
are
of
you?
Jack's leverage. This is all he has.
Yeah, and they're like, who are you? And he like gets in Barbossa's face, and he's like, oh, he's my aunt's like cousins, like twice, like son twice removed. And then he brings up the eunuch thing again, which will, like I said, forever stick with me. You know,
That's so funny.
that's how I learned this word. But I love how like once he sort of accepts Will's terms, immediately cuts to like, oh no, dude, like I'm always gonna get you on technicalities, and honestly, dude, like I don't really give a fuck. And then we see her like, you know, starting to walk the plank.
And that's because he promised they'd let her go. Is that why they're?
Yeah, and he says you promised you let her go, and he says you failed to specify when or where, because he
Right.
goes like, because he's like, Barbossa, you lying bastard.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, hey man, I'm letting her free.
You know what it reminded me of the genie that always uses, or like, you know, the one who grants your wish, who
It's
always
like a monkey's paw.
Yeah, exactly. Just be careful what you wish for. Yeah, totally.
Absolutely, yeah. He is great at that, and it's silly too. You know, I love that he is like,
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah. But no shot in the world these pirates give up Elizabeth, right? In actuality, come on. I mean, she's the
They
governor's
have
daughter.
a bunch
and
of money, you know. I think like I get what you mean. They do have like a lot of riches, and a lot of them have been like this for over 10 years. Like I wonder how much they really are tempted by
lust.
at this point when they're
Yeah.
like, whatever, we'll just take all our money
Yeah,
and we'll like
maybe not.
we'll go to Tortuga and we'll spend it with like the sex workers there. Who like I don't
Sure.
yeah. Plus it's like they're not like it's Barbossa. I mean Barbossa. Oh yeah, Barbossa. Sorry, I was thinking of there's a venue in Seattle called Barbosa.
Oh yeah.
And so when I said it, I was like, oh, that's wrong. But no, it's like pronounced almost exactly the same. Anyway, Barbossa is the one like calling the shots, right? And he loves this sort of like semblance of like following through on his deals. But
Right.
I mean, I get what you mean.
And I think right before this, we also get the pirate is sick of parley. I think this is where he threatens them. I swear, if any of you say parley, something like that.
Yeah, with the whole crew.
Yeah. Yeah, Barbossa, I'll be having that dress back before you go. Or he says something along the lines of like, we can't let something so beautiful go to waste.
Yeah,
but he's
so
talking about the dress.
Yeah, he's talking about the dress.
Good little jab.
Yeah, fun little bit. Yeah, and then the guy goes too long and hits it. I like that bit. Pretty good little bit.
Yeah.
And I love that the whole he's trying to barter for an extra pistol, and he's like, nope, I'll let you be the gentleman and shoot her. And then throws his shit,
Yeah.
and he immediately jumps after his
yeah,
effects.
without
He,
thinking. Yeah,
he
I love that.
loves his stuff.
Yeah. And it's
His
just
inventory is
well, it
very important to him.
represents his whole everything.
It's his hope, right, for his
Yeah.
revenge.
Yeah, it's what he's been holding on to for however long it's been. Like 8 years, I guess, right?
10 years. It's been 10 years, yeah.
Uh,
We have them marooned on the island,
yeah, Trevor,
and we finally get the explanation of
how he
how he got
survived.
off
He
last
reveals that he's a
time.
phone.
well, there was the rum runners, you know.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah, I love him like walking around and taking like the big steps. Then he finds like the hollow point, like
Talk
hits
about
it.
lucky. You get abandoned on an island. It's just like a shit ton of rum.
Yeah, I imagine he just like drank rum for like 3 days and like just completely cooked his brain, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean basically what we see him do here. And I would say this is the start of Act 3. I think we got that big naval battle, kind of the set piece for the end of Act 2. Now we're set. Now the like all hope is lost kind of moment, right? And we're at the start of the build up to the final climax.
We get Yoho Yoho coming back. He fucking loves that song.
I love that one. It's just the most generic pirate song. It's so funny.
Yeah, we do get a cool little speech from Jack about how a ship is freedom. And it's like I can see him saying that like a
Yeah.
mile away
Yeah.
when he starts the whole thing, but it is good. It's a great sort of like theme stated moment where we really have like
Totally.
the character like talking about what he is about
Yeah.
the freedom to like, you know, not have to be constrained to act a certain way, speak a certain
Be
way.
your own man.
Yeah, he is like really sort of like promoting the idea of counterculture, right? Like I should be able to like just like be myself.
Right. And before they start getting drunk, there's a nice little moment of you see Elizabeth coming up with a plan, but you have no idea what it is. Like something, it's one of those eyebrow raise moments. Like, oh, she thought of something, and her plan is to get him really drunk, and then
Yeah, she gets him
steal
really
the rum.
drunk, and then she lights a huge fire, like a huge signal fire to attract the Navy, the British Navy, because she knows that they're like all looking for her.
Yeah. And why is the rum gone? And then she explains it. He's still
Yeah,
like,
when he has, why is the rum gone?
And he pulls out he's thinking about using the bullet on her there. I love this scene. He's thinking about killing her. He's so mad that she burned the rum.
Yeah, I love it. We see his true passion is rum.
Yeah. And then he walks away from her, and then he sees the ships in the distance, and he's like, there'll be no living with her after this, because she was right.
Yeah, pretty funny. And then we see that Elizabeth is now it's sort of this reversal of Elizabeth being like, we have to go get Will, and Norrington and Governor Swan are kind of like, I mean, he engaged in piracy, and she's like, dude, to save me. I love this, like that she even has to like say it, like they're still kind of like, whatever, pirate's a fucking pirate. And I do love Jack, trying to like tempt Norrington by saying, don't you want to end the last real threat to last pirate threat in the Caribbean? It's the Black Pearl, man. Come on.
And I like this because we've seen that he's so good at reading people and seeing what they want, and it's almost like working like we've been talking about with Norrington, where it's like, oh, I know this guy is just a power hungry jerk, and he's like, no, I got people to take care of. I'm not gonna risk my crew just for some honor.
Yeah, but then very quickly she says, I'm going to marry you, but only if we go save Will. Like, wouldn't it be a good wedding present? And we see him like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because that's everything he wants, right? Like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then he does say that he'll lead them to Isla de Muerta.
Right.
And I do love how Norrington says the thing to him about contemplate every meaning of the phrase quiet as the grave.
Yeah.
Good little line there.
Yeah, that's a good line. And then I think we get the pirates explaining to Will here.
They're all locked up.
Yeah.
And Con the fucking
mute guy with the parrot.
The parrot says something. I can't remember what it is. And fucking Mr. Gibbs goes, Cotton says you missed a spot there.
I like that. And they tell Will that they tied a cannon to bootstraps.
Yeah.
They sunk his father. It's pretty horrific.
Yeah,
because he was speaking out against the
against
what they
never
did to Jack,
sat right
right
with him is what he says.
Yeah.
And he is kind of like, and he sends his gold off to Will because he doesn't really like, he didn't feel right about taking the gold either.
Right.
Sort of like, that sort of voice of dissent amongst the crew. Does he come back later on in the series? No, I mean, he would have died, right?
Wait, who?
His dad.
I thought his dad was Davy Jones or something. Or no, it's someone else in that story. Yeah, he does come back.
I think he
comes back with barnacles on his face, I think.
Yeah, he's part of Davy Jones' crew.
Yeah, that's right.
Pretty wild.
It's wild.
We'll have to watch those other ones sometime for something else.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like I said, I've only seen those ones once, I believe, and barely remember the third one at all, so it'd be fun to revisit. Jack has a plan here, and it's a good plan.
Yeah, he convinces the Commodore, let me go in solo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll convince them to come out, and then you can ambush them.
Right, and he uses this both ways. Just very clever maneuvering here because it's also his leverage of, oh, but you can't kill me. You can't cure the curse yet because they're right out there, right? Like they're gonna blow you up.
Yeah, for sure. I also like that he, also kind of like through like the implication of like Elizabeth not being safe, gets them to like lock her up in like the captain's quarters as well, like so that she won't like meddle with his plan.
Yeah, I love that too, and she's going to anyway. Yeah, for a brief moment, I had forgotten how involved she was with the rest of the movie. And I was like, is she really just locked up for the climax? But no, yeah, she escapes pretty fast.
Yeah, and then we do hear like the thing where Elizabeth like, no, you need to know that they can't die, and Gillette is like, yeah, a little mermaid told him.
I love we already talked about this, but the reaction of Jack returning and just all of them like, no freaking way is this guy back. I love that. And I love that when Jack shows up, he has a great little like uh this Elizabeth is safe cuz I'm a man of my word, and Elizabeth is a woman of her word cuz she's going to marry the
He says
Commodore.
we're all men of our word except for Elizabeth, who is a woman.
Yeah,
When
and
he's-
you're gonna keep your word because you're gonna die for her.
Yeah, I think the last thing he says is like making us all men of our word except for Elizabeth, who
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
woman. But before that, we also have it set up that they're not just gonna like take a little bit of blood. They're like, it's like, don't worry, man. It's just gonna be like a little prick, and then you'll be done. And the guy's like, no, this time we want to be sure. He's only half Turner, so they're like, we're gonna full on kill him to take as much blood as we can.
Which is still a bad call, because you should test it and then kill him as a last option. Because what if one of the corns isn't in there or something, and you blow your chance? You know.
Yeah, for sure. I think they're probably like they've like obsessively been counting them for like the last like what
Right. 10 years.
10 years or some shit.
Right. And Jack's ploy here again, such a smart little moment of him pulling up the coins. He drops them one at a time, very
Yeah.
sneakily. Palms one of them so he can become immortal like them. Very clever.
Yeah, but there is a moment before that where we see the like the soldiers again, like the two silly guys, and like they're asking Norrington, why aren't we doing what like Sparrow told us to with like the cannons and stuff? And Norrington is like, because Sparrow told us to do it, like showing that even though he like let him go off on his own, like he doesn't like still doesn't trust him, right?
Right.
And it is because, as we see in that next scene where he does like sort of pick up the coin during this whole sort of thing of him scheming, where he's like trying to say to Barboza, oh, you'll be the Commodore, you'll have the Dauntless, I'll have the Black Pearl, and I'll give you a percentage of everything. And one of the things that I thought that was interesting too is like, yeah, he kind of does set up like you can't do this yet. You can't kill Will because you don't want to like, you want to be immortal for this battle. But like also, Will seems to notice him take the coin because of the shot order is like,
yeah, that is weird.
him like, there's that weird sort of like low frame rate slow mo when he grabs, like when you see him like palm the coin, and then you see like the next shot is of Will looking down, almost like he's looking into the chest. But later on, it doesn't feel like he knows that. But I did make a note. I was like, it feels like Will is aware of some trickery going on. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember that exact moment. I do remember Jack gives him a look like you want to kill him at the opportune moment. Wink, wink. And I was like, could you be more obvious in front of Barbosa that you're giving Will a hint here?
And then Jack tries to command the crew, and he's like, to the boats. And then Barbosa says, take a walk, boys. And he's like, not to the boats. And it's because they fucking walk underwater.
Yeah, I love
fucking
that.
Sick.
Yeah, that's
Sick
one of the
fucking
coolest
shot.
little sequences of them. Yeah, marching to the final battle.
But that we do have the two silly guys dressed in the dresses in the boat, and the guy's saying that they're just like this is just like a Greeks done at Troy. It's fucking hilarious. He also fucking tells him at one point that he looks nice, and he says, I look nice.
That's what sets him off. That's what
he
gives
gets
them
so mad.
away.
It's so fucking funny.
Yeah, because they're all sneaking up on the ship.
The skeletons slowly crawling over the ship.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing that alerts them that they're being attacked. Is when he gets mad about being called pretty in a dress.
I do like the governor, what he says when he's at the door, where he's saying, I think you made a good decision, but even a good decision made for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
Is like you seeing this part of her dad where he's like, I want you to be happy.
Yeah.
You know, and
I like
so
that.
and I did like that, but I also did like that she was sneaking out while he's saying that to her.
Yes, great.
Because she can't like resist
Yeah.
being all up in the mix.
And I don't think we mentioned Jonathan Pryce in this role. He's awesome. Maybe we did. I don't remember.
Jonathan Pryce, great.
Yeah.
Great actor, great voice. perfect governor.
Yeah.
Also, like, there's the real cool scenes with him where we see, he's not a fighter. Like,
Oh well, yeah. This
and he's,
whole
like,
climax,
scared-
he's just hiding.
he's like scared even in the beginning, and we just kind of see that like he knows his sort of lane.
yeah, totally.
Although at the end when they like defeat them, he like comes out and he's like, "Yeah, huzzah, huzzah!"
No, he's wagging his finger at the pirate.
yeah,
it's pretty good.
Like, okay, dude.
I like that a lot. Oh yes, and then what triggers the moment? Oh, I was trying to remember like what triggers the sword fight between Jack and Barbossa here, and I think it's just that he throws a sword to Will to free himself from his bonds. Is that what happens?
Jack is looking through all the treasure, and Barbossa says to him that he's a hard man to predict, and he explains to him why dishonest men are like, you can kind of trust them because you can trust them to
Yeah,
be dishonest.
This makes
Dishonest
no sense.
ones you have to be careful with because they, you never know when they're going to do something
Heroic or something.
or something crazy or something like
Yeah.
that. And then then I think the sword fighting erupts. I think he throws I can't remember exactly what he does, but then it's clear like, haha, I'm with Will now, and they do more sick sword fighting, and we get the sick line where he says, "You're off the edge of the map, mate. Here there be monsters."
Yeah, great line. I wrote that down too. Elizabeth.
Which is the ultimate like threshold fully crossed, and like, he looks like a fucking skeleton as he says that. It is very much like, dude, as clever as you think you are, do you really think you're prepared for this?
Yeah, it's an interesting like sword fight because it is so epic, and the music again is coming back for it, and it does feel like this big climax. But at the same time, there's very low stakes with the actual sword fight between them because it's like, well, you don't know that Jack can't get hurt, I guess. So the stakes are high.
I mean, I know when I'm watching it.
Well, after on a second viewing, yeah. Oh no, yeah, I guess you see him take the coin. Yeah, so,
there's the shot where he
Yeah.
takes the coin. Yeah.
right.
I mean, you could miss that, but I think it's set up for viewers to know the first time they watch it.
Right. So yeah, it is a little like
But it's
strange.
Barbossa doesn't know,
Yeah.
But again, it's choreography. It's fun.
Yeah, it's just
it's
fun,
an action
yeah.
movie.
It's just fun. Elizabeth.
Fun is sometimes the answer.
Fun is the answer a lot of the time. Elizabeth sneaks onto the Black Pearl to rescue the prisoners, and I wrote in parentheses here, why are they still alive?
I do love the two dudes trying to decide what they're gonna eat first, and they have like the fucking birthday cake.
Yeah.
Love that. Very relatable.
Oh yeah, and we get her father wrestling for his wig, I believe.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. That's the first time you see him get real aggressive.
Yeah.
We also get the bell being rung, so Norrington realizes that the Dauntless is under attack.
Right. And then
That is really fucking freaky, the fucking hand. And
yes,
I love the setup of him like closing the drawer on
Right.
it, because later on we're gonna have a really great, like, gruesome payoff.
Right. Totally.
I also do have a note about the monkey. I wrote poor monkey because I think she fucking smacks the shit out of the monkey at one point.
Oh yeah, because the monkey's like trying to defend the Black Pearl.
Yeah. Monkey's just trying to do what it was trained to do, man.
Yeah. Poor monkey.
Poor monkey.
Yeah. Where does the monkey come back? Is that the last we see of the monkey? The monkey falling on the cannon?
I don't know.
I wonder if it comes back in the other movies. I hope it does. It should.
Yeah.
Jack the monkey. Great character. Best character. Jack gets stabbed. But he
Yes.
reveals his trick.
And then Barbossa has the sick line about two immortals locked in battle. Very Highlander.
Yeah, I love
Jeffrey Rush would have killed it in a fucking Highlander movie.
hell yeah.
Fucking love Highlander.
Yeah. I've only seen that one maybe once as well. That movie rocks.
Yeah. We have a category right now called It Could Be Anyone. Should be a category called There Can Only Be One. Dude, the one Jet Li, right?
Yeah.
Highlander.
Oh,
I'm cooking a little bit.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
we
cooking.
got to write this category down.
I'm cooking a little
I was
bit.
thinking we could just have like an immortal category, like stories about immortals.
That's also cool. Immortality is an interesting thing to tackle. As is implied by this imagery, like that the fucking Barbossa sets up of like two immortals locked in like a struggle.
Yeah,
like, it's so sick
I
to
wish I
picture.
remembered his line. I mean, most of Barbossa's lines throughout this movie are just fucking awesome.
It's like a fucking symphony, dude.
Yeah.
Like his delivery is so fucking good. He's pitch perfect.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and then there's just like a lot more battling.
Yeah, we have Jack's crew takes over the Black Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not gonna go get Jack and Will.
Yeah, it's a good comedic shot of like
they're more like guidelines anyway.
Yeah, like she's trying to convince them to come help her, and it's just like quick cut to her just alone rowing.
There's
just
just those bloody pirates, and we get a great sort of like match cut because then it's like like a matching of the line because then you see the crew of the Black Pearl like they're stealing our ship, and one of the pirates goes bloody pirates.
Right. And then Elizabeth comes in and she saves Will with a good bonk. And she has a very corny line here. Some like
You like pain?
try wearing a corset. Yeah, it's pretty cheesy.
Yeah, pretty cheesy. And then she does say she asks Will whose side is Jack on, and Will says at the moment it is a good like little sort of like yeah we don't really know what he's up to.
That's his whole thing. Yeah.
This is a clever sort of thing where they end up skewering the three guys.
Yes, I wrote
and
zombie bomb shish kebab.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome.
I would say skelly bomb. I'm pretty firm on those terms.
Skelly bomb.
Yeah.
But you don't get the essence of the shish kebab.
Why not? Why not?
I don't know, because it's like just a
Skelly bomb,
It
shish
could just
kebab.
be. It could be yeah, okay. Because there's only one skeleton, and it could be a skelly bomb. This is a shish kebab skelly bomb.
A shish kebab skelly bomb for sure. I'm firm on them being skeletons and not zombies.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, just like philosophically, I just can't gel with the zombie title.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm with you.
I'm joking about how serious I am about it. But
No,
I do feel like there's lots of zombies, you know? I just think, you know.
No, and zombies are usually more mindless.
Yeah, for sure.
These are like cursed
It is like,
beings.
yeah. Yeah. Very
It's more
interesting
like a ghost
choice.
story. It's like a classic.
Yeah, it's a very interesting choice that
Yeah.
they're skeletons.
Yeah, I'm with
Because
you.
they're like cursed and the moonlight reveals their true form, which is we're skeletons.
Right, and I don't know if if they were intentionally doing the play on words of a skeleton crew.
Yeah, I think they were. I think that's why they did it. And that's good. I like it. Fuck it. Print it.
A+.
A fucking plus.
Oh, yes, and then Jack shoots Barbossa, and I love, the whole reveal of you don't see that, it is a little strange that he shoots him before the coin is dropped, which, like you were talking about earlier, like we see that their body can be damaged and then it heals, right? Because he shoots him while he's still immortal, but then Will drops the coin, and because he still has that wound, it hasn't healed yet. Like, there's a lot of logistics here that Jack was hoping would work out, and it does.
It's fun for film blocking.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it is the flip of the coin to him catching it and then him pointing the pistol at Elizabeth and then the reveal of like, oh,
The gunshot goes off.
it was Barbossa who was shot, and actually Will has his hand like already cut and on the coins, which is also kind of funny that it's like, oh, you didn't have to kill him. Like, could they have been like, man, how about you try just cutting him a little bit to see if it works? And if it works, like, let's all just go take over the Dauntless together. You know, like, it's just funny how in the end they didn't actually have to kill him, which was one of the things that they were really like against. Because at the end of the day, everyone's goal is to end the curse.
Right.
Like, they want to end the curse because these pirates are a menace because they can't die.
Right.
And they want to end the curse because they want to be able to experience, like,
Life.
the pleasures of life
Yeah, that's
again.
a good point. It's very rare that the villains and the heroes have the same goal.
But it is a fun play
Yeah.
throughout, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, where
I
it's
like
kind of
it.
like they withhold it because they're like, oh, we want to be immortal for this last
Right, because
fight.
yeah, it's like you're both trying to accomplish the same thing, but you need to have it done under the right circumstances for you to win, which is cool.
Yeah. And then we have all the skeletons, like, you know. Oh, but he also says the thing, 10 years you carry that pistol and you waste it. And, you know, it's a good little, like, timing thing. Like you said, it is very, like, delicate in the way that it works. And some of the implications are, you know, you kind of have to, like,
wishy-washy.
you kind of have to, like, overlook them. But
yeah.
fun blocking nonetheless.
Yeah.
All the skeletons dying. We get that scene of the governor opening the fucking the drawer, and he's super grossed out. I love how it's just like implied that he's just seeing like a severed hand in there. We
And
don't actually see it.
a great send off for Barbossa. I feel cold. He finally can feel,
Yeah,
and all he
yes.
can feel is
That
cold.
was really good. I did like that. It made me kind of happy. Like I felt like, I don't know, Barbosa, I'm happy for you, dude. Like you finally
That's.
felt something.
I think that's what's so interesting about his delivery. There is a little bit of like, oh, feelings, feelings, and then he dies.
Yeah, there's this relief of like
yeah,
being freed of the curse, I think, which
Yeah.
is just good, fun.
yeah.
I do like that they all like surrender when they realize that they can't like
They
that they can
parlay.
die. And then the two comedic duos come face to face, and the guys go parlay.
Good stuff.
And then that's the part where we see the governor slink out of the captain's quarters and huzzah, huzzah, and like do the Dikembe Mutombo in the pirates' faces.
yeah.
Not in my house.
Yeah, pretty good. And I love that Jack is decked out in
Wearing the fucking crown.
yeah, and all the gold, and tells Will like, if there was a shot, that was it. You missed it with her rubbing it in.
Silly guy.
Yeah.
And then I love this like very like boom. Time's
hanged.
passed. They're back at Port Royal
Yeah.
and like Jack is at the gallows.
Yeah.
Really fun little like heist like shot selection here where we're setting up the different parts where we have Jack at the gallows, Will with the musketeer fit,
Yeah.
and the like parrot fly in.
Right. I really love this little ending set piece because it's like you don't need this here. Like you've already had your big climax, but it's like no, this is just gonna be one more fun little sequence to like set you off on. I think it's a really solid way to end the movie. Jack's about to be hanged. There's a long list of his crimes.
That's a fun bit. Like them listing all his crimes.
Yeah.
is good.
What was the one that made him laugh? It was something about impersonating a holy person or something.
A member of the Church of England, a clergyman from the Church of England.
He's like, oh yeah, that was a good one. And we have Cotton's parrot showing up, which is kind of foreshadowing that the Black Pearl is coming.
Yeah, and we do get, I think, we get Will admitting his love for Elizabeth.
Right
before he does this thing where he's putting himself clearly choosing a side.
Does he know that the Black Pearl's coming? Because this is a pretty bad plan if he doesn't know.
He seems kind of surprised.
Yeah.
But I would think, I like to read it that he knew.
Because he does see the parrot, and he's like...
Yeah, he notices the parrot.
Parrot. I know that parrot, so maybe. Because, yeah, otherwise it's like, what's the plan here?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, maybe he thought they'd figured it out like they did last time,
Right.
Just think on their feet. That's Jack's strength after all.
Yeah.
It is cool too, like the sword on the fucking board and him like
bringing back
balancing it
his
on
aim, right? They set that up so well earlier in the movie. Yeah, I love that too. And just that I forgot he fought the executioner here. So like fun little fight while Jack is struggling for his life to stay balanced on this sword. There's a sword fight going on around him, which is fun.
Will also does a front flip off the gallows.
Oh.
Which is wild.
Yeah. It's just like, great little sequence of them working together.
With
like
the rope. Yeah, that's sick. That's fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then they get surrounded. The Commodore, Norrington, tells them, you forgot your place, Turner.
Right, and he says he knows it. It's between him
and Jack. Yeah, great response.
And then we have Elizabeth setting herself between them as well on that same side.
Right. And they kind of convince them here.
Yeah, we also get Will saying that he believes that Jack is a good man, which is like the first time anybody says that, I think.
Right. I love that Jack, before he kind of has a little goodbye to everyone before he jumps off.
It would have never worked between us.
Yeah, I like that he says to the Commodore, I want you to know I was rooting for you.
Yeah, I love that too. So fucking funny.
Yeah, it really is.
And I just like in my head, you're like, oh, was he actually rooting for him? No, he's just saying that because he's a fucking charlatan. You just like try to like.
But I also took it as a wink at the audience because we're not rooting for him the whole time.
Yeah, because it's like obvious. Like, no, you're not. Nobody's rooting for him. Everyone's rooting for Will.
Yeah, good stuff. And yeah, he tries to get the line out. This is the day you almost caught, and then he slips and falls.
Again, he's like
Just-
Mr. Magoo.
Yeah, just a goofy guy. Very fun. Commodore gives up on Elizabeth and decides to give Jack a head start, which is pretty irresponsible, but also like, hey, good on you, man.
Yeah. There's the thing too where I think the governor says after all he is a blacksmith, right?
He's a
And
pirate.
she says no, he's a pirate. And I was like, that's silly as fuck.
Yeah, he's not a pirate.
No, I don't love it. Not necessary. It doesn't really work for me.
Sure.
And then they finally kiss.
Yep. Great kiss. Love it.
Yeah.
And
Jack gets on the Black Pearl.
yes, and this shot did stand out to me. It's a really cool. Again, I think we have the great score going on. But the camera's just like facing straight up at the air, and you see him pulled out of the water on the rope, and it's just like drenched. Like you see the water is
the
just
water
like
splashes across.
splashes like across the view of the camera. It's just like super cinematic and awesome looking. Just feels very like triumphant ending, you know.
But also very silly how they like pull him like all four, like there's 5 people pulling him up out of the water, and that's why he like flies out.
Yeah. Let's see. Yep, and the Black Pearl is yours.
He also says, thought you were supposed to stick to the code, and they say again, figured they were more like guidelines.
Good callback. And I love that he says, "Bring me that horizon."
Now bring me that horizon.
That's an awesome line.
Yeah. Have you ever listened to that band?
Yeah.
Bring Me the Horizon?
Yeah, I don't think I'm super into them. They're like post-hardcore, or what do you call them? That genre? But
Yeah, like screamo-ish, right? Like, yeah, like, I don't know. Right?
yeah.
I wonder if Juan likes them.
No, I don't think so. I'm gonna guess. Our guest from the Dune episode is probably not a Bring Me the Horizon fan, but we'll confirm next time. And
then
yeah.
Bring Me the Horizon plays at the end of the movie.
Screamo comes in. I do like just the final whimsical line from Jack before it cuts to black. Drink up me hearties, yo ho. That's just all he says.
Him singing his favorite song.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Because he's going to teach it to the whole crew. Like he said.
I wonder if that's like the hottest hit. That's like the new pirate jam. Like it's like
when I get the Black Pearl back, I'm gonna teach them all that song.
Yeah. Really fun movie.
Nice jaunts.
Yeah.
Solid little jaunt.
Yeah, we're let's talk rankings. I think I would give this a B tier. I think it's a B tier movie for me. Very fun, very solid. Enjoyed it the whole time. There's like I said, some goofy stuff here and there. I do partially wonder if it wasn't for Hans Zimmer's score, if it would be a C tier. Like how much hype is that score bringing to these scenes? Like I always got super excited when the music came in with these big action sequences. But yeah, where are you sitting on this one?
I'm gonna say I think a B tier is appropriate. Entertaining movie, got some motion to it, direction, some interesting cat and mouse, clever
Great dialogue.
sort of like play, some fun dialogue as well, especially with Jack Sparrow and Barbossa. I
Yeah.
think Jeffrey Rush is just completely stunned me in this watch through. Like
I wasn't really thinking about it too much, but yeah, I do think he's kind of the standout performer.
he just is doing such a good job of that like stereotypical pirate, but giving it like so much humanity. I really enjoy it. Because he is like I said, he's kind of a sympathetic villain in a way. I think like where I really feel for him. Like he's just like I just want to be, and like even
he's still a bad guy.
Yeah, I mean for sure. But even at the beginning, like they're just gonna cut her hand a little bit, like right, like he doesn't actually have the intention of fully
And
killing
he doesn't
her.
kill the crew. Maybe he's just a big softy. He never really kills anyone, actually, come to think of it.
Yeah, no, he does shoot that guy to test it, but that doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
Well, he's at the top. He doesn't have to do that so much. But yeah, I'd say B tier is appropriate for this film. I feel like, yeah, it would. I don't think it ever wanted to be anything more than a B tier, right?
Yeah, it's just meant to be a big, fun, adventurous romp. Yeah. Not like super emotional, but like good characters, good beats, good writing.
Some good aquatic shit.
Hell yeah. And I'm very excited for next week's episode.
Yes,
We're doing our first Spielberg film.
we're doing
Can
Jaws.
you guess it? Oh, shit.
Don't guess.
It's Jaws. We're
It's
watching
Jaws.
Jaws. I'm very excited for Jaws. Awesome movie. There's part of me that was kind of wishing the Aquatic films were in July because I always think about 4th of July with Jaws. Very excited to get into it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great time. Good shit.
Hell yeah. Well, I think that's all we got for you folks. Thanks so much for listening.
Yeah, find us on all the usual spots.
Yeah.
Film cast core 4.
Spotify.
It's the name of the podcast is Cinema Filmcast. Just joking. Cinema Fourcast, Fourcast, on all those usual suspects.
Yeah, and I saw from our statistics, I hate to be this guy, but like and subscribe. Helps us out. Gets us to more people.
Hell yeah. And I mean, if you're listening through Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review. If you leave a review and we find it, we'll read it on the fucking at the end of the episode. Why not?
Yeah. Well, we prefer 4 stars just because it's Cinema Forecast. That's our lucky number.
No.
Okay, yeah, give us 5 stars.
5 stars, please. This is a good bit, but 5 stars, please. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night, everyone, or morning, or evening, or day, or afternoon, or aquatic underwater journey.
Splish, splosh. Catch you next time.